Chapter 946. Night Sorrow returned to Sky City after arranging for people to execute the alliance. As for the 9 regions world's people passing through the spatial tunnel, his soul avatar was there to take care of it. He didn't plan to personally deal with the alliance. Night Sorrow sailed the boat in Sky City's lake with Sikong Chuyu, Yonglei, Aoi, and Xuexi accompanying him. This guy is really good. He slept the whole afternoon, Yonglei said as she looked at Night Sorrow, who was sleeping on the deck chair. This is returning to nature. Everything is so close to nature. If I can comprehend it, I will have touched the threshold of the Saint King realm, Xuexi said. They rested until night fell. Night Sorrow then had dinner with everyone. Just as everyone was eating, a golden light appeared in the sky. The golden light spun in the air, then fell on Night Sorrow and entered Night Sorrow's body. The light of virtue has descended. It seems that the alliance contract between the 9 regions world and the Netherrealm has been formed. Night Sorrow had the 9 regions sources, so he could understand it. At this time, the golden light circle behind Night Sorrow's head was very obvious. The only A version was the VZ version. Night Sorrow's main body chatted with the girls while his soul avatar stopped the operation of the array on both sides of the spatial tunnel. This way, the 9 regions world and the Netherrealm could be connected. The Supreme River Space was just an extra teleportation. The Netherrealm and the 9 regions world's factions both sent people to guard the spatial tunnel, mainly to prevent low-level nether beasts without intelligence from entering the Supreme River Space and entering the 9 regions world. After dealing with the matter, Zhu Jiuyun returned to Sky City. Her soul avatar was cultivating at the spatial tunnel entrance. Since the Netherrealm was fine, Night Sorrow's soul avatar returned to Sky City and returned to his main body. I've done what I needed to do. I've arranged everything. Your people can manage over there, Zhu Jiuyun said. Night Sorrow nodded. He was also aware of the situation. Under Zhu Jiuyun's orders, the 9 domain world's commander-in-chief's residence had taken over the management of the Netherrealm. After returning to the lakeside, Night Sorrow communicated with Shao Kong. Zhu Jiuyun could freely enter and exit the space-time pagoda, but only at the top level. Night Sorrow, can your spirit stones last? Sikong Chuyu asked. We can still hold on for a while, but we need to think of something. We can't just keep going out and not going in, Night Sorrow said. Like Night Sorrow, Zhu Jiuyun had just advanced to the next realm not too long ago. Therefore, they both rested outside for a period of time before going to cultivate. Night Sorrow went to the spatial worlds around the 9-domain world to look for spirit stones. This way, the space-time pagoda could operate at full speed and help everyone cultivate. He also wanted to cultivate. At this moment, Night Sorrow was not as anxious as before. He had entered the level of a high-level Saint King, and already had the ability to protect himself. From now on, he just needed to slowly and steadily increase his cultivation level. Currently, he only had 2 levels of room for improvement, and only a part of the time had passed. Yi Shang wasn't in a hurry, but the others were still nervously cultivating. However, Night Sorrow was also very bored. Everyone was anxiously cultivating, and he was the only one who came out. He was also very bored, so he walked around and collected a strand of the Netherrealm's essence. Then, he also entered cultivation. In the blink of an eye, 30 years had passed in the real world. Night Sorrow casually cultivated and also reached the middle-level Saint King. After coming out of seclusion this time, Night Sorrow went to Clear Sky City to check on the situation of the array, and whether the 9-domain origin was stable. This was because the 9-domain origin told Night Sorrow that the profound sky world and the 9-domain world were getting closer and closer to each other. The time had also been brought forward, and it was within 10 years. This was also the reason why Night Sorrow came to check on the situation of Clear Sky City. Not to mention other places, this place had to be stable. Night Sorrow had also thought about whether or not to rebuild Clear Sky City. However, after discussing with the 9-domain origin, he gave up on this idea. The current era was different from 10,000 years ago. 10,000 years ago, Clear Sky City was the cultural center, but it was not the core of the 9-domain. The 9-domain origin and Clear Sky City were not in the same place. Now that Clear Sky City and the 9-domain core were together, if they were to rebuild Clear Sky City, it would create some unnecessary unstable factors. The powerful relationship between them was analyzed and concluded. So Night Sorrow rejected the idea of rebuilding Clear Sky City. This time, Night Sorrow came here. One was to inspect the situation, and the other was to get a title, a Saint King title. In these 30 years, Knight Sorrow did not quickly increase his cultivation in order to stabilize his cultivation and keep up with his state of mind. Now that he was doing very well, he planned to get a title. That way, he would be able to obtain the blessing of the 9-domain origin. With a very stable cultivation, Knight Sorrow had no problems getting a title, and he easily passed. Golden light once again appeared all over the 9-domain world. Even the profound mysteries realm, Supreme River Domain, and Underworld realm had golden light. Something big had happened in the main world, so it naturally affected the subsidiary worlds. In the city in the sky, a young man stood outside the space-time pagoda. The immortal Saint King has already surpassed me in the past. Perhaps it's time to change the situation. This young man was none other than Yi Qianhua. He had just entered the Saint Realm and had gone through the lightning tribulation. 20 years ago, after he had entered stage 5, Knight Sorrow had brought him here and had him cultivate in the space-time pagoda. With the insights, experiences, realms, and memories from his previous life, Yi Qianhua's cultivation had not faced any bottlenecks. Because of the guidance of his soul, his new body was spatial. He did not have the talent of the Yi clan, but his true qi was spatial, so he could still use spatial cracks. At this time, Yi Shenyue came to Yi Qianhua's side. Shenyue Emperor is here. The commander has successfully obtained the title of Saint King. The immortal Saint King is a forbidden title. This has never happened before in the history of the 9-domain world. In other words, he's the most accomplished person in the 9-domain world, said Yi Qianhua. Then he's a peak Saint King? Asked Yi Shenyue in surprise. It's hard to say, but he definitely has the greatest potential. As for his specific cultivation, only he knows, said Yi Qianhua. Then Yi Qianhua entered the space-time pagoda to cultivate. Standing in front of the heaven-sealing palace, Knight Sorrow thought for a moment and decided to go to Underworld to take a look. He hadn't gone there since he had solved the matter of the life-spirit liquid. He also wanted to see how much Underworld had recovered in 30 years. After using the transportation formation under Supreme Sky City twice, Knight Sorrow arrived at the entrance of the spatial passageway in the Nether Realm. At this time, Xue Wuling was in charge of guarding. Seeing Xue Wuling, Knight Sorrow threw a jar of wine to her. He still remembered the scene when he had fought side by side with Xue Wuling. "Commander, how do you have time to come and take a look?" asked Xue Wuling after taking a sip. "I wanted to move after a long period of silence, so I came out for a walk." "Is everything okay?" asked Knight Sorrow. "There are saints from Underworld guarding there. We're just in case. We can activate the formation," said Xue Wuling. Knight Sorrow nodded and entered the spatial passage. As soon as he came out of the spatial passage, a golden light appeared in the sky above Knight Sorrow's head. It was a very bright golden light. "Speak." Chapter 947. Light of Merit. Knight Sorrow knew that this was the light of merit. This made him understand that at the beginning of the war, he was rejected by the origin of the Nether Realm because of the sin of killing. However, as time passed, the Nether Realm changed. Naturally, his merit was boundless. At this moment, the light of merit on Knight Sorrow's body was very strong. It was equivalent to him benefiting 3 worlds. It was a great merit. After walking around the Nether Realm, Knight Sorrow realized that the Nether Realm had recovered quite well. It no longer had the broken aura that was riddled with holes. Feeling that everything was fine, Knight Sorrow returned to the city in the sky. He planned to continue to improve his cultivation and enter the 9-star Saint King realm. He would not be afraid of the calamity of killing that would follow him. Zhu Jiuyun, who was meditating in the space-time treasure pagoda, opened his eyes. "The light of merit on your body is very strong. It is even very close to the great merit sage recorded in the ancient books. Your cultivation has improved quite well. You are not far from becoming a 5-star saint," Knight Sorrow said. "I don't have any other thoughts. At least I can see your cultivation." Zhu Jiuyun was very dissatisfied with the current situation. Zhu Jiuyun had spent more time cultivating than Knight Sorrow. However, in reality, his cultivation had not caught up by much. This was because the space-time treasure pagoda was Knight Sorrow's holy treasure. The amount of energy that Knight Sorrow could refine was as much as he could. On the other hand, Zhu Jiuyun was slightly weaker. This was because a high-level Saint King needed more energy to cultivate than a mid-level Saint King. Work hard on your cultivation. Your clone is very strong. If your main body's cultivation improves, it means that both of you have improved. It is equivalent to 2 high combat powers, Night Sorrow said. Give me time. I will have no problem cultivating to the high-level Saint King realm, Zhu Jiyun said. There is not much time left. About 10 years, Night Sorrow said. Then, even if the space-time treasure pagoda accelerates, I only have 200 years. Then I can become a 6-star saint. I have wasted a lot of time relaxing my state of mind. Zhu Jiyun was a little annoyed. There's nothing we can do about it. Just work hard. I'm going to cultivate as well. If you want to relax, you can go out by yourself, Night Sorrow said. I want to give it a try. I will use the Death Spirit liquid to cultivate and seize the opportunity to enter the high-level Saint King realm. If we fail in the Great Massacre Calamity, the consequences will be too severe. After joining the 9 Regions World's camp, she naturally knew how dangerous the Great Massacre Calamity was. Then I'll have to trouble you a little. Because within these 10 years, Senior Long Xianxing and Senior Xian Wenxiu's greatest improvement would only be at the mid-level Saint King realm. As for the high-end combat strength, it would be you and me. I'm not afraid of dying in battle, but I'm really afraid of losing. Sometimes we can try again if we lose, but sometimes we won't be able to bear it if we lose. Night Sorrow said. I can understand you. Also, my clone has entered the Beast King Sea and formed a small team of Saint Nether beasts. I'll bring them over later. This way, we won't be at a disadvantage in a battle between saints. Zhu Jiyun said. All right, thank you for your trouble. Let's cultivate. Night Sorrow sat down and began to cultivate. His goal was to become a 9-star Saint King. At that time, with the help of the world's origin energy, he would be able to kill all opponents below the King realm. Long Xianxing and Xian Wenxiu cultivated together and also stabilized their cultivation. After Shang Luo and Heavenly Underworld Saints submitted to the Nether Realm, they didn't stay in the Nether Realm often. They also walked around and looked at the various situations of the world, looking for an opportunity to break through. After entering the late stage of the Star Saint King realm, Night Sorrow brought the space-time treasure pagoda to the bottom of Clear Sky Mountain and entered the spatial turbulence to stabilize his cultivation. During this period of time, Night Sorrow sealed the space-time treasure pagoda. No one could enter or leave the space-time treasure pagoda. But before coming, Night Sorrow had informed everyone that they had to leave in advance. While stabilizing his cultivation base within the violent spatial turbulence, Night Sorrow's cultivation base had also risen. What Night Sorrow had used up was the time he had spent tempering his cultivation base within the spatial turbulence. The time he had spent meditating within the pagoda of space-time was negligible. Using 4 years in the real world, Night Sorrow pushed his cultivation to the 9-star saint realm. Zhu Jiyun, who used the Death Spirit liquid to cultivate, increased her cultivation even faster. She had already reached the peak of the 5-star saint realm. Her method of stabilizing her cultivation was the same as Night Sorrow's, but the time she could stay in the spatial turbulence was very short. Now that his cultivation had reached the 9-star saint realm, Night Sorrow decided to take a break. He would naturally cultivate and increase his cultivation as much as he could in the remaining time. Night Sorrow once again placed the space-time treasure pagoda beside the lake in the city in the sky. Then, he spent time with his parents and wife. Wu Lingfei and Xue Shi were both peak saints. They were both looking for opportunities and were not in the city in the sky. It was difficult for a venerable to enter the saint realm. It was even more difficult for a saint to enter the Saint King realm from the saint realm. Without a certain level of comprehension, one would be stuck here forever. Yi Linghuan, Yi Wuyo, and Yu Qing were all peak 5-star saints. This was already a very fast speed of improvement. The saints that Night Sorrow knew had their cultivation improved greatly. Xiaolon Jun had also cultivated to the late-stage 9-star saint realm. Nangon Shang, Zhenhai Shang, and Black Dragon Shang were all high-level saints. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow decided to go to the Saint Hall to take a look. He was no longer worried about the members of the God-slaying team. They were all venerables. Among them, Tianyu and Yi Mei were already peak venerables. Many of the others were high-level venerables. It could be said that Night Sorrow had enough resources to push them all the way. Even a fool could push their cultivation up. Looking at the original version, Tianyu and Yi Mei had already begun to comprehend the laws. Tianyu went to the Night Moon Sea to comprehend the laws of time in the Night Moon clan's territory. Yi Mei had cultivated to the peak of the Venerable Realm. She revealed the power of the laws of wind. This was the power of a high-level exotic beast. When he arrived at the Saint Hall, Knight Sorrow discovered that the children that he had personally taught were no longer in the Saint Hall. They had all cultivated successfully and had made great achievements. Under the arrangement of Tai Shu Yen, they had set up the 9 Regions World Camp's law enforcement team. They had already patrolled all over the 9 Regions World Camp. This made Knight Sorrow a little disappointed. He missed those children. Nian Xiao, Ning Yun, and Chiue are all venerables. You don't have to worry anymore. They can already take care of themselves, Jun Xuanji said as he looked at Knight Sorrow. Yes, they've all grown up, but I still miss them, Knight Sorrow said with a sigh. You're not like the 9 Regions commander. Don't be like this. Our original intention was to let them live well. Commander, you've done it, Tai Shu Yen said. There's one more thing that I hope will be of help to you. My senior apprentice brother became a saint a few years ago. Not only did his cultivation soar, but because of the power of the laws, his killing intent is very powerful. You can try to study it, Jun Xuanji said. Actually, your senior apprentice brother is a wise man. Only King Realm cultivators can comprehend the will of heaven and earth, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. I see. Jun Xuanji was a little surprised. She did not know this at all. If everything goes well, your senior apprentice brother will be a great talent, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Following this, Knight Sorrow brought his wife to Chen Chen's tea house. Speak. Chapter 948. Not bad. After sitting down, Knight Sorrow looked at Chen Chen who was walking over with a teapot and said, It's not just not bad, it's great. Chen Hua came back a few days ago and stayed for 2 days before going to cultivate again. Chen Chen began to make tea as soon as he arrived. Chen Chen was a little old. He looked like a middle-aged man with a beard. After Knight Sorrow gave him the life spirit liquid, he spent 3 years to recover his dantian and another 10 years to cultivate to the void inquiry stage. However, he was already a middle-aged man at that time. It's good that it's not bad. You're a good tea owner and you're even doing it yourself, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Hee hee, it's only because you guys are here that I came out to receive you. Didn't you see that there are a few staff here? This time it's good tea. After Chen Chen made the tea, Knight Sorrow said with a smile, When I came here to drink tea before, the tea was really not very good. I just didn't want to say it. I hope you didn't disappoint me this time. Good tea. Who do I sell it to? I got this by chance from a peddler. It's recorded in the ancient books that it's called heart-cleansing tea. It said that it can wash away the troubles and dust in one's heart. Look at it. It's very thorough, Chin Chin said. Then I have to try it. Knight Sorrow took a sip with a smile. After drinking it, he did feel a refreshing feeling in his heart. It's indeed a rare good tea. Pack some for me and my wife later, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. It's fine if you don't pay for the tea, but you want to pack it. This is robbery, Chin Chin said with a smile, but his wife had already come over with a few packs of tea. After drinking the tea, Knight Sorrow stood up, took out the bottle with more than a dozen drops of life spirit liquid, and handed it to Chen Chen's wife. I won't be so polite with you, Chin Chin said. When you have time, take sister-in-law to see Father Gu. Life is not easy, let alone being father and son. Knight Sorrow, who walked to the door of the tea house, turned around and said, You still recognize me as your brother? Hearing Knight Sorrow call his wife sister-in-law, Chen Chen's voice was a little choked. 10 years later. If I'm still alive 10 years later, then you're my brother. Knight Sorrow then left the tea house. Yi Shan's change is truly great. It's hard to imagine, Sikong Chuyu said with some astonishment. Venerable is a big hurdle. Knight. After Yi Shang left, Chen Chen looked at his wife with red eyes. Do you know that I have no friends or brothers in my life? That year when I found out that I had a sworn brother, I was so happy, so happy. But later, everything was ruined by me. I didn't think that he would acknowledge me. He said 10 years. Why did he say he would still be alive 10 years later? Is he going to do something in 10 years? Chen Chen's wife asked, puzzled. We don't understand his world. Let's ask our son when he comes back. That's the life spirit liquid. Last time you only took 2 drops. This time you'll be fine. The life spirit liquid can improve your physique and make you live longer. We can watch our son grow up smoothly. Chen Chen looked at the jade bottle in his wife's hand and said. Night Sorrow took his 3 wives back to the bamboo forest peak and lived there. He calmed his state of mind and cultivation and drank with his master and senior brothers when he had time. Now, not to mention the other peaks in the Medicine Valley, Night Sorrow's 10 senior brothers and 2 senior sisters on Taishan Peak were all venerables. Of course, the strongest were Yang Lei and Aoi. Both of them were already 9th level venerables. Like Sikong Chuyu, they were comprehending the power of rules and could enter the Saint Realm at any time. More than 30 years of bitter cultivation in the Space-Time Pagoda had led to their high cultivation today. Time slowly passed. As the ruler of the 9-domain world, Yi Shang felt pressured because the profound sky world had already moved to the sky above the 9-domain world. When it reached the sky above the 9-domain world, it would be the time for the massacre to descend. Night Sorrow was worried, but he was more at ease because he had done everything he could. His cultivation had reached the middle of the 9 stars Holy King, and was not far from the peak of the Holy King realm. After 2 years of self-cultivation in the bamboo forest peak, Night Sorrow returned to the city in the sky. The space-time pagoda was operating as usual. The towering pagoda not only relied on the energy of the spirit stones inside, but also absorbed energy from itself. When Night Sorrow returned, Zhu Jiuyun walked out of the space-time pagoda. She was now a middle of the 6 stars Holy King and had come out to calm her state of mind. She had been cultivating crazily in the past few years. Middle of the 9 stars Holy King. I can see your cultivation now, Zhu Jiuyun said as she looked at Night Sorrow. It's not long now. About 6 to 7 years. I don't know if it's enough for you, Night Sorrow said. It's about time. The Nether Beast's Holy King team has already set up camp at the spatial tunnel of the Nether Realm. They can come over whenever they need to, Zhu Jiuyun said. After talking for a while, Zhu Jiuyun left. She had come out to relax. No matter what kind of clansmen they have a fierce and peaceful side. She is no longer the fierce 9E Nether King from before, Aoi said. That's because R13 is capable. If he did not subdue her, she would still be the fierce Nether King, Yang Lei said. Don't enter the pagoda of time and space. Just relax outside. Also, help me inform the commander's office that all the Holy Kings must be mobilized and arranged together. The Great Massacre is targeted at Holy Kings, Night Sorrow said to Sikong Chuyu and the other 2. After giving the instructions, Night Sorrow entered the pagoda of time and space and began to cultivate. Although there was not much room for him to improve, he had not reached his limit. Look at chapter 4 of the book. After Night Sorrow went into seclusion, Sikong Chuyu and the other 2 found Yun Tianlong. After telling him Night Sorrow's intentions, they returned to the mansion in the city in the sky to continue their seclusion. They continued to comprehend the rules and prepare to break through to Holy King. After using 3 years in the real world and 60 years in the pagoda of time and space, Night Sorrow's cultivation had reached the late 9 stars Holy King. After coming out of seclusion, Night Sorrow brought the pagoda of time and space to the spatial barrier below Haotian City to consolidate his cultivation. As for the mobilization and arrangement of the troops, Night Sorrow was not worried. Someone would arrange it. At this time, the 9 regions world had already moved. Yun Tianlong found Lin Yuandao and did not hide his identity as the hall master of the assassination hall. Then, he and Lin Yuandao used the information of the Tianji Tower and the assassination hall to gather all the venerables and saints. The venerables were all sent to the Central State Prefecture. Some talented seedlings, most of whom were disciples of the Holy Hall, were sent to Shuedao Heaven through the teleportation formation of the Tianji Tower. In the Great Massacre, the Holy Kings were harvested, but the venerables and geniuses were also targets to be killed. The Tianxian world would not let the 9 regions world grow. Night Sorrow used 2 years to consolidate his cultivation. Night Sorrow's cultivation stabilized, and his cultivation was not far from peak Holy King. His cultivation of the myriad Tao Tome was slightly weaker, but he was close to the late 9 stars golden body realm. Speak. Chapter 949. While Night Sorrow was raising his cultivation, his most important helper, Zhu Jiuyun, had also entered the 7-star Saint King realm. This made Knight Sorrow very happy. Zhu Jiuyun had high attributes and a powerful clone. It would not be easy for a Star Saint King to kill her. In addition, Knight Sorrow also had powerful clones. Even if 3 or 4 high-level Saint Kings came, he would not need to worry. After telling Zhu Jiuyun to stabilize her cultivation, Knight Sorrow returned to Sky City. After putting away the space-time pagoda, Knight Sorrow went to the commander's mansion. After learning about the arrangements of Yun Tianlong and the others, Knight Sorrow was very satisfied. Knight Sorrow estimated that the Heaven Profound World and the 9 Regions World were close to each other. It should be between Sky-Bearing City and East Xiang City in the Sky-Bearing World. After announcing that they were ready for battle, Knight Sorrow returned to Sky City and shook the space-time pagoda. Except for a few Saint Kings, everyone else came out. There were some things that needed to be arranged in advance. After the arrangements were made, Knight Sorrow stayed in the city in the sky. His doppelganger cultivated battle skills, Void Extreme Kill and Sky Desolation Fatal Spear. Void Extreme Kill was a spear technique that used Void Chi and Void principles to directly melt everything around the tip of the spear. Sky Desolation Absolute Kill was based on the power of desolation, which was also the power of time. It accelerated the destruction of the opponent's body. In addition to its ferocious attack power, it could affect the opponent's reaction and take away their vitality. As for the power of space, Knight Sorrow did not use the space crack. He could use the space blade attack infinitely. In addition, the soul-extinguishing crescent moon slash in Knight Sorrow's Spirit Sea was extremely condensed, almost like a real weapon. The 9 Regions World's camp moved. Those who could not participate in the war and were the enemy's target all retreated. Those who needed to fight prepared for battle. Knight Sorrow felt that the Heaven Profound World was putting more and more pressure on the 9 Regions World. This was because the 2 worlds were getting closer and closer. This made Knight Sorrow very unhappy. To put it bluntly, it was as if he was waiting to be bullied. He was very unwilling to accept this. All things had spirits, and all life was equal. However, the other party treated the 9 Regions World like a slaughterhouse. This was an insult in itself. The 9 Regions World's origin energy told Knight Sorrow to remain calm. This was the feeling of being a world lord. It could be said that this was the feeling of the 9 Regions World. At this moment, in a majestic hall in the profound sky world, a man wearing a brocade robe sat on the main seat. The man was bathed in the light of a fire. Father, the subsidiary worlds that the profound sky world has passed through in the past 10,000 years are all subsidiary worlds of other dynasties. We are about to reach the region of the 9 domains world. We can make our move now. A man in a light yellow battle robe said. The only genuine copy, the rest are pirated copies. The 9 Regions world is the place where the remnants of the Yi clan reside. Powerful people should have appeared there. The Golden Roar ancestor came to find this emperor some time ago. Their clan entered the 9 Regions world with our South Sky dynasty 10,000 years ago. The trapped disciple was killed some time ago. The man sitting on the main seat said. Emperor, some time ago, the life jade of an outstanding junior disciple of my clan, Bo Qing Yuan, was also shattered. An old man stood up and said. It seems like the 9 Regions world is really going to be destroyed. Otherwise, they will really be overturned. The man-called emperor said. The last time we sent people, we suffered a great loss. Gong Yang Lai shattered the 9 Regions world's origin energy. This time, the emperor sent people to take that piece of origin energy and find other origin energy to destroy the 9 Regions world. This is to comfort our people who died last time. The old man said. He was the head of the South Sky dynasty's Bo Qing clan, Bo Qing Han. The Bo Qing that Knight Sorrow killed was only his surname. His name was Bo Qing Yuan. Then this matter will be handled by the head of the Bo Qing clan and my son. Our South Sky dynasty can choose not to take this subsidiary world. After all, without a channel to connect to it, we can only approach it once every 10,000 years. It doesn't have much meaning. The emperor sitting on the main seat said. Yes. Bo Qing Han and the yellow-robed man bowed and said. The yellow-robed man was the 3rd prince of the South Sky dynasty, Shang Zhengchun. He was a powerful prince with a very high cultivation base. At this time, a black-armored man took out a white origin energy stone and handed it to Shang Zhengchun. 3rd prince, this is a part of the 9 Regions world's origin energy. Take this and you can find the other origin energy. Last time, I was forced to retreat because they wanted to take me down with them. This time, you can turn the 9 regions world into a scorched earth. This black-armored man was very famous in the South Sky dynasty. He was a genius cultivator and the commander of the Emperor's Imperial Guard. He was already a king realm cultivator, Gong Yang Lai. 10,000 years ago, Gong Yang Lai was a half-step king realm cultivator. He was the one who led a team into the 9 regions world and carried out the Great Massacre. Son, be careful. Although the cultivators of the 9 regions world are weaker than those of our profound sky world, their cultivation speed is very fast. 3 high-level Saint Kings in 10,000 years is an example. You have to know that we carry out a massacre every 10,000 years. For them to have 3 high-level Saint Kings in 10,000 years means that the level of their cultivators is not low. This is comparable to the power of one of the great clans of our profound sky empire, said the emperor sitting on the main seat. In the profound sky world, cultivators also had to cultivate step by step. However, the resources were abundant. Cultivating to the saint realm was aided by resources, which were materials obtained from killing and saint crystals. Reaching the saint realm depended on one's aptitude and talent. Entering the king realm was even more difficult. In the Tiannan dynasty, there were only a handful of sovereign king realm cultivators. Chun understands. I will take care of it. In the future, the 9 regions world will be scorched earth. Last time the 9 regions world was destroyed. This time, the king realm cultivators should be able to enter. I wonder if father can send Commander Lai to assist. Shang Zhengchun said. He would not do things that he was not confident in. All right, Commander Lai, you will follow me. After the matter is settled, you will be rewarded with Saint Spirit Stones. After speaking, the Emperor stood up and disappeared from the main hall in a flash. Then I will have to trouble Commander Lai this time. Commander Lai can deal with emergencies. Shang Zhengchun said. Shang Zhengchun was very polite. It was not only because Gong Yang Lai was strong, but also because the Gongyang family was second to none in the South Sky dynasty. You are welcome. By the way, 150 years ago, when this commander was patrolling, I found a man at the old site of the Yi family. After capturing him, I found out that he was the monarch of the Yi family of the 9 regions world. It is funny that the Yi family actually established the Night Moon dynasty in the 9 regions world. Gong Yang Lai said. He was very respectful to Shang Zhengchun, but he was also very proud. He did not call himself a subordinate. Haha, we haven't even started fighting yet, but the head of the Yi family is already in our hands. When we go, bring him along and let him see with his own eyes how we destroy the Yi family. Shang Zhengchun said with a smile. No one noticed that there was a trace of disdain in his smile. Shang Zhengchun was unhappy that Gong Yang Lai did not call himself a subordinate. However, he could only remember that because Gong Yang Lai was not only the commander, but also his brother Shang Jing-yuan's right-hand man. Night Sorrow was nervously cultivating. When Yun Tianlong came to report the situation, he gave a new order. Speak. Chapter 950. Night Sorrow ordered everyone in Sky-bearing City to evacuate. He had a feeling that Sky-bearing City was the place where the mysterious Heaven World and 9-domain world intersected. He could only do this to prevent innocent civilians from getting hurt. I will go back and arrange it immediately. Yun Tianlong was very humble now. He was under a lot of pressure when facing Night Sorrow. The sooner the better. Also, ask the Grand Elder Vice Commander and Chief Steward Lu Qin to bring me the high-grade spirit stones in the Commander's residence's storage. I need them. Also, get the Formation Grandmasters and Grandmasters here, Yishan said. After hearing Night Sorrow's instructions, Yun Tianlong went to make the arrangements. Everyone in the 3 realms had to obey Night Sorrow's orders unconditionally. Soon, Tai Shu Yen and Lu Qin arrived with Heishang and some array masters. Commander, the spirit stones and array masters have been brought. Tai Shu Yen said. Follow Heishang and the rest. I will tell you my requirements. I can confirm that Sky-bearing City is the first place where the mysterious Heaven World intersects. In other words, that is the battlefield. Therefore, we need arrays. I don't want the flames of war to spread to other places in the 9-domain world, the Profound Mysteries realm, and the Nether realm. Night Sorrow said. We understand. Heishang and the rest bowed. The formation this time will be more difficult to set up. Once all of Sky-bearing City's forces have retreated, Protector He Shang will lead everyone to set up the Heavenly Cycle formation. Don't activate it. Plant a flag in the area where the formation will be set up. Later, I will add an illusory formation to the formation, said Yi Shan. After listening to Night Sorrow's arrangements, Tai Shu Yen and Lu Qin led the array masters to work. Night Sorrow then brought the 3 Saint Kings cultivating in the space-time treasure pagoda out and explained the current situation. Sky-bearing City is so big. Setting up an array is not easy. Xian Wenxiu said. In order to avoid the flames of war, this is the best way. Even if it consumes spirit stones, we have to endure it. The 2 of you are the grand elders of the commander's residence. Continue to gather spirit stones. Every force that has the ability to contribute some. Now is a time of life and death. Night Sorrow said. All right, let's go and make arrangements. We'll also relax our mental state while we're at it. Long Xiansheng and Xian Wenxiu nodded. They knew that Night Sorrow's strategy was correct. Although there was a consumption, resources and lives couldn't be compared. Night Sorrow continued to cultivate by the lake, but he didn't enter the space-time pagoda. On the 7th day of Night Sorrow's cultivation, Wu Lingfei returned. To Night Sorrow's delight, Wu Lingfei had also broken through to the Saint King realm, much faster than Xie Longjun. Go to Night Moon Sky. Someone will send you to the Night Moon Sea, said Night Sorrow to his 3 wives. No. Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Aoi spoke at almost the same time, directly refuting Night Sorrow's suggestion. Almost everyone from the profound heaven world is above the Saint Realm. You haven't reached the Saint Realm yet, so you can't participate in the battle. Be good and go back, said Night Sorrow. We'll enter the pagoda of time and space with you. We can't give you up and leave, said Yang Lei. All right, then enter the pagoda of time and space, said Night Sorrow after thinking for a while. It was indeed impossible to let the 3 women leave at this time. Night Sorrow was not worried about his own safety. He was now at the peak of the Saint King realm. It could be said that as long as there was no problem with the 9 zones origin laws and he could block the arrival of a King realm expert, he could fight anyone. He could be said to be undefeated. Night Sorrow had always been very confident in himself. Not to mention those at the same level, even if their cultivation was slightly higher than his, he could fight. Now that his true chi cultivation was at the peak of the Saint King realm and the 10,000 Dao scripture was at the late stage of the 9-star golden body realm, it could be said that he could kill a peak Saint King realm cultivator without a problem. In addition, he could use the 9 zones origin laws to suppress them. That was the advantage of the 9 zones master. Time passed slowly. The aura of war was getting closer and closer. It could be said that as long as one was from the 9 zones world, they could feel the oppressive aura. This was the pressure from the profound heaven world. The profound heaven world was a mature spatial world, while the 9 zones world was still very young. They still had a long way to go. Right now, they could not withstand the pressure. On this day, Night Sorrow was meditating when Yi Shenyue accompanied Yi Qianhua to the pagoda of time and space. Emperor Shenyue, why have you come here at this time? Asked Night Sorrow as he looked at Yi Shenyue. It was very inappropriate. Yi Shang, this is my idea. You sent me back to the Night Moon Sea. It's wrong of you to hide this from me. I can't leave this place. I will fight to the end, said Yi Qianhua. Speak. Chapter 951. Your journey in this life has just begun. The best is yet to come. My surname is Night. Good, very good. Then enter the space-time pagoda to stabilize your cultivation. Night Sorrow smiled and nodded at Tianyu. Then I'll go and stabilize my cultivation. When the time comes, I'll fight alongside Brother 13. Tianyu entered the space-time pagoda. This is talent. How long has it been? To be able to comprehend the laws of space. How amazing, Xie Longjun said emotionally. Among the saints of the 9 regions world, only Night Sorrow's parents were young because Night Sorrow had taken out the source stones and saint crystals. Then there was Wu Lingfei. She had also cultivated for some time. Everyone else had cultivated for a long time. Tianyu was too young compared to everyone else. Of course, he could not be compared to Night Sorrow. After watching Tianyu enter the space-time pagoda, Knight Sorrow continued to meditate and cultivate. His chi cultivation could not be increased, but the myriad Tao treasured tome had not reached the point where it could not be improved. Time passed slowly. The aura of the 9 regions world became more and more oppressive. This was the reason why the mysterious heaven world was getting closer and closer to the 9 regions world. On this day, Knight Sorrow stood up. At the same time, he shook the space-time pagoda and transferred the Saint Kings out. What's the situation? Zhu Jiuyun asked after coming out of the space-time pagoda. According to the current situation, the battle will erupt in 3 days. So, everyone stop cultivating and prepare for the final battle, Knight Sorrow said. Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, everyone nodded. This was the most crucial battle for the 9 regions world. Now, split into groups. Each Saint King will lead a small team of saints. Knight Sorrow looked at the group of people and said. Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, everyone formed their own teams. Zhu Jiuyun, you don't have to. You're a high-level Saint King. You have to support the overall situation, Knight Sorrow said when he saw Zhu Jiuyun going to arrange the teams of saints from the netherworld. Then Saint King Xuexi, you will lead the people from the netherworld. Zhu Jiuyun said to Xuexi. Okay. Xuexi nodded. Martial Uncle Tai, this is the spiritual liquid of origin and the spiritual liquid of life. Distribute some to everyone. Knight Sorrow took out a few bottles of spiritual liquid of origin and spiritual liquid of life, and handed them over to Tai Shu Yen. Tai Shu Yen nodded, and went to make arrangements. War is cruel and brings only pain. I don't want to see any casualties. I won't be carrying the space-time pagoda with me. I'll just leave it here. If any of you are injured or unable to hold on, just enter the space-time pagoda, Knight Sorrow said. That's not appropriate. That's your protective holy treasure. How can you not bring it with you? Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Long Xianxing became anxious. Without the space-time pagoda, Knight Sorrow's danger would increase. Leave the space-time treasure pagoda here. It will give everyone a place to retreat. That's how it will be. It won't be that easy for anyone to kill me, Knight Sorrow said. Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Long Xianxing helplessly shook his head. He knew that this was Knight Sorrow. For everyone's safety, he was willing to give up everything. There's one more thing. My clone is wearing a cyan robe. He also has a spatial sacred treasure. If you can't hold on any longer, just get close to my clone. Remember, use the formation to trap them. We can kill them slowly. Everyone has to live. Yi Sorrow emphasized again. Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, everyone nodded. Now, does anyone have anything to add? Yi Shan saw that everyone nodded and understood what he meant, so he asked again. I have something to say. You should take the space-time treasure pagoda with you. I'll set up an illusion formation here. If our people can't hold on, they can enter the illusion formation. That way, they won't have any problems protecting themselves. Yi Chenhua looked at Knight Sorrow and said. That's for the best. You can take the space-time treasure pagoda with you. If you see anyone in danger, you can save them. Just put them in the space-time treasure pagoda, said Xian Wenxiu. Then let's do that. Come, let us see the methods of the profound heaven world. This isn't the end. This is the beginning of the rise of our 9 regions world. Knight Sorrow swept his gaze over the group. Speak. Chapter 952. Knight Sorrow continued to ponder if there were any loopholes. Yi Qianhua began to set up the formation. He was very proficient in formations, so he set them up very quickly. Yi Shang, give me some more spirit stones. I'll set up array formations everywhere. I won't hide the array formations so that everyone can see them. If you can't hold on, you can go in and hide. After Yi Qianhua finished setting up the array formations, he immediately activated them. Okay. Knight Sorrow took out a storage ring and gave it to Yi Qianhua. However, Tai Shu Yen stopped him. She handed a storage ring to Yi Qianhua. Lu Qin and Yun Tianlong were both venerables. They could not participate in this war, so they were not here. The matter of resources was handled by Tai Shu Yen. Yi Qianhua continued to set up formations. He set up a large illusion formation, which meant that the enemy could also enter, but they couldn't attack. Both sides were blind in the illusion formation. Yishang asked the Candle Dragon to bring the Nether Beast Saint to identify them properly so that the plan would not be messed up. Knight Sorrow chatted with his parents for a while, telling them to pay attention to their safety. When everything was ready, the teams split up. Auntie Fei, Xuexi, you two have just become Saint Kings. Don't fight with people whose cultivation you can't see, Knight Sorrow said to Xuexi and Wu Lingfei. Wu Lingfei and Xuexi nodded. They were at the bottom of the Saint Kings. It was easy for them to kill a peak saint, but they weren't a match for other Saint Kings. Knight Sorrow, you haven't used the Golden Phoenix soft armor. Its power is different from before. It should be a mid-grade saint treasure. It's still useful. You have to use it in battle, Wu Lingfei said to Knight Sorrow. Yishang reached out and touched the Golden Phoenix soft armor. He nodded. He already knew some things. The Golden Phoenix soft armor was Wu Lingfei's natal armor. It would increase in power as Wu Lingfei's cultivation increased. In the past, Wu Lingfei had said that there was only one possibility for the Golden Phoenix flexible armor to shatter. At that time, Knight Sorrow did not understand, but now he knew. If Wu Lingfei did not die, then the Golden Phoenix flexible armor would not shatter. Of course, it was not invincible. If it exceeded the defensive strength of the Golden Phoenix soft armor, then the energy would penetrate the soft armor and hurt the target. Don't worry about using it. It won't harm Auntie Fei. Even if a Saint King's attack can't be blocked, it can still weaken it a little. Wu Lingfei was worried that Knight Sorrow would have misgivings and not use it, so she reminded him. I understand, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Actually, you don't have to worry about the dancing Saint King. This king won't be able to kill him even if he just stands there, Zhu Juyun said. So powerful? Asked Wu Lingfei. It's true. Even if I attacked with my full strength, I could only exhaust his defensive energy. Zhu Juyun nodded. Knight Sorrow, how strong is your body's defensive strength? Asked Xuexi. She knew that Knight Sorrow's body was very strong, but after Knight Sorrow had become a Saint King, she wasn't sure how strong his body was. It's the same as my cultivation. It won't cause any special damage. A high-level Saint King won't be able to break through my body's defenses. Knight Sorrow nodded. What do you mean by your body's defenses? Asked Zhu Juyun. It means that if I don't use true qi or any other energy to protect my body, your attacks won't be able to break through my body. Knight Sorrow said with a smile. He felt that the atmosphere was a little tense, so he wanted to encourage everyone. Then I'll try. Zhu Juyun did not believe him. She had never seen Knight Sorrow's body's defenses before. In the past, she had only used true qi and other defensive energy attacks to temper her cultivation. Then come. Don't ruin my robes. Knight Sorrow loosened his robes a little, revealing his chest. Really? Don't joke around. Zhu Juyun held her scimitar, not knowing whether to attack or not. I'm not joking. I'll also test it. Come on. Knight Sorrow nodded. Seeing that Knight Sorrow was very serious, Wu Lingfei and Xuexi did not stop him. Zhu Juyun used her 5-star Saint King cultivation and slashed at Knight Sorrow's chest. Knight Sorrow did not use any defensive energy, so Zhu Juyun's scimitar landed on his chest. Zhu Juyun's attack caused the skin on Knight Sorrow's chest to cave in a little. Then, it returned to normal. As a halo of energy appeared, Zhu Juyun's scimitar was repelled. A 5-star saint can't break it. Use all your cultivation. I'll also test the strength of my body. Looking at the surprised Zhu Juyun, Knight Sorrow nodded again. Zhu Juyun nodded and deathly primary energy flowed into his scimitar. Displaying his strongest cultivation base, he slashed at Yi Sorrow's chest once more. This time, black cracks appeared in space. It was clear to see just how powerful this attack was. But the scimitar did not manage to cut Knight Sorrow's chest open. It was blocked by Knight Sorrow's skin that was emitting a halo of time. It's okay. Knight Sorrow said and tidied his robes. Long Xianxing and the others were still fine. They had not reached the level of a high-level Saint King, so they did not know the strength of Zhu Juyun's attack. But as the person involved, Zhu Juyun knew the strength of his attack too well. But even so, Knight Sorrow was unharmed. A 7-star Saint King can't hurt you. Zhu Juyun looked at Knight Sorrow, who had tidied his robes, and asked. They can't. So when we fight I can attract some of the firepower. You all just have to be careful. Knight Sorrow said. Commander, what's your cultivation? Black Dragon Saint looked at Knight Sorrow and asked. Peak Saint King. Zhu Zhuyun answered for Knight Sorrow. Everyone, don't worry. The rules of the 9 zones have been perfected. Those above the Peak Saint King realm can't enter, and I can fight anyone below the King realm. So don't be too pressured. If you can't hold on, just retreat. I'll kill slowly. Knight Sorrow said. Everyone nodded. If Saint King realm cultivators could not enter, then Knight Sorrow, who was a Peak Saint King, was invincible. Deputy Commander Tai Shu, should we have a drink and then have a good battle? Sky Underworld Saint looked at Xiaolon Jun and asked. Tai Shu Yen nodded and went to make the arrangements. Quick L, quick L, quick L, quick LQ. Commander, we don't have much lifespan left. We can fight this 10,000-year calamity, but we'll have to rely on you next time. Shang Luo said. This is the last time. Knight Sorrow looked at Shang Luo and said. But the ancient records say that every 10,000 years, there will be a calamity. Xian Wenxiu looked at Knight Sorrow and said. That's because our spatial world's level is low. It's suppressed by the profound heaven world. By chance, I refined a high-level world, and this high-level world merged with the 9 zones world. As the 9 zones world grows, it will become a high-level world. The profound heaven world cannot suppress it. Knight Sorrow said. Good. Then there's nothing to worry about. Long Xianxing said. Then let's fight. 1 is enough. 2 is a win. Flying Tiger Saint, who had already regrown his limbs, said. I'm wasting my breath. Just follow my strategy. Outside of the battlefield, you're my seniors, but here, you have to follow my strategy. I don't want to see anyone die. Knight Sorrow roared at the Flying Tiger Saint without holding back. Speak. Chapter 953. Genius 1 second. Remember love. Go to Little Net to provide you with some interesting reading. Oses, Qingqiu 2. Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Flying Tiger Saint bowed to Knight Sorrow. He knew that his words conflicted with Knight Sorrow's thoughts. Love. Go to Little Net's. Knight Sorrow's philosophy was that he didn't want any casualties. He put people first. The meat and wine are here. At this time, Tai Shu Yen brought people over to deliver the food and wine. In a moment, when everyone goes back, put down the teleportation formation crystal and completely seal off Sky-bearing City. There won't be any chance of communication with the outside world, Yishan said as he watched Tai Shu Yen and the others come out of the teleportation formation. He had found this loophole. After the people delivering the resources delivered some more resources, Tai Shu Yen removed the teleportation formation and gave the teleportation crystal to Knight Sorrow. It was safest in Knight Sorrow's hands. Knight Sorrow was invincible. Everyone else could die. 2 days later, a shadow appeared in the sky above Qingtian City. Then, the space began to tremble. Prepare for battle. Remember, if you can't hold on, come closer to me or enter the formation. After the battle, I hope that all of you are here. Knight Sorrow stretched out his arm and the reincarnation spear appeared in his hand. At the same time, the space-time pagoda appeared on his body. At this time, only his 3 fiancées were in the pagoda. As Knight Sorrow spoke, the space above Qingtian City trembled violently. This was because the mysterious heaven world and the 9 regions world were clashing. The last time the 2 worlds clashed, cracks appeared in the 9 regions world. It seems that our 9 regions world is much more stable than it was 10,000 years ago, Yi Chenhua said as he looked at the sky. At this time, Shang Zhengchun was standing at the intersection of the mysterious heaven world and the 9 regions world with Gong Yonglai and a group of people. All right, let's go. Shang Zhengchun waved his arm and gave the order. This time, he brought 8 Saint Kings, 50 saints, and a great expert like Gong Yonglai. Shang Zhengchun felt that these people were enough. 2 peak stage Saint Kings, 6 mid-stage Saint Kings, and 50 high-level saints were definitely enough to massacre the entire 9 regions world. Furthermore, he himself was also a peak stage Saint King. At this moment, he was still carrying a cage. Inside the cage was a man wearing a black-stained long robe. Gong Yonglai waved the warblade in his hand, creating a spatial barrier. Then, he flew towards the 9-domain world. But in reality, the effect shocked Gong Yonglai. After he left the heaven-profound world, he could not enter the nine-domain world. The space around him kept collapsing, and he was trapped in the turbulent flow of space. After failing to break through twice, Gong Yang Lai returned to the heaven-profound world. "Commander Lai, what's going on?" Shang Zhengchun asked. "The Nine Domains World's world principles have been strengthened, and this commander has been pushed into the void. No matter how this commander flies, the turbulence caused by the void collapses. Can you see if a Saint King can enter?" Gong Yang Lai said. "Bo Qing is fearless. Give it a try," Bo Qing Han said to a middle-aged man. This time, the Bo Qing clan's patriarch, Bo Qing Han, and the third prince were in charge of this massacre. Bo Qing Han had brought a peak Saint King, Bo Qing Wu. He was a peak Saint King, but he did not want to go. He felt that as the patriarch of a large clan in the South Sky dynasty, he had to respect his status. He disdained to participate in this kind of thing. "Yes." The middle-aged man with a mustache nodded to Bo Qing Han. He waved the sword in his hand and broke the spatial barrier. Then, he entered the nine-domain world. "Third Prince, this commander is helpless. You can only go by yourselves. A part of the nine-domain sources is in your hands. Just use it as you see fit," said Gong Yang Lai, who was wearing black armor and had a baleful look on his face. At this moment, he was very unhappy. Back then, when Clear Sky Saint King had forced him to retreat, he had planned to enter the nine-domain world to vent his anger. But now, he did not have the chance. "Okay." Shang Zhengchun nodded. He waved his sword and opened the spatial barrier. Then, he lifted the cage and led the people behind him into the nine-domain world. Seeing Bo Qing Wu, Shang Zhengchun nodded. "Let's go." Shang Zhengchun and the others appeared in the sky above the Qingtian region. After flying for a while, they saw Night Sorrow and the others. Then, they landed on the ground. At this moment, Qingtian City was surrounded by white fog. The Great Cycle Formation and the Thousand Illusion Formation were activated and enveloped Qingtian City. This time, the defensive formation only enveloped Qingtian City. It did not have any attacking power inside Qingtian City. The main reason was that the nine-domain world did not have the ability or the resources to cover Qingtian City with formations. Shang Zhengchun and the others landed in Qingtian City's plaza. "Looks like you're prepared. So what if you're prepared? I will turn the nine-domain world into ruins. It will become a dead world," Shang Zhengchun said to Night Sorrow and the others. "Go." "If words could kill, you would have done it," Night Sorrow replied coldly. Night Sorrow felt that the situation was very serious because the other side had 3 peak Saint Kings and 6 mid-level Saint Kings. The main thing now was to see if Zhu Jiuyun could handle 1 peak Saint King. He and his clone could only face 2 peak Saint Kings. Hee, this time is not as good as last time. Last time, there were 3 high-level Saint Kings. This time, there are only 2, Shang Zhengchun sneered. "A debt of blood must be paid with blood. You will pay the price." Night Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear and looked at the cage beside Shang Zhengchun. "Shameless boasting. Do you know this person? I heard that he's the ruler of the nine-domain world's Night Moon dynasty. Are there any remnants of the Night clan among you?" Shang Zhengchun pulled the chains on the cage and made the person in the cage look up at the people from the nine-domain world. "Moon Empress." Xiaofan Jun was shocked and astonished. "Grandfather." Yi Linghuan roared angrily because he recognized the person in the cage. Hearing Yi Linghuan's words, the person in the cage opened his eyes and looked at Yi Linghuan. "Linghuan, leave quickly. You are not their match." After hearing the conversation between the person in the cage and Yi Linghuan, as well as the way Xiaofan Jun addressed him, how could Night Sorrow not know who the person in the cage was? It was the Night Moon dynasty's Moon Empress, Yi Tian. Night Sorrow grabbed Yi Linghuan, who was rushing forward. "Let me handle this." "You handle it? How will you handle it?" Shang Zhengchun looked at Night Sorrow like a cat looking at a mouse. The nine-domain world only had 1 peak Saint King, Night Sorrow, so he was not worried. He wanted to see the struggle of Night Sorrow and the others. "Didn't you want to turn the nine-domain world into ruins? In your eyes, we are all dead people. Then what's the point of keeping that cage?" Night Sorrow asked. "It's not very useful. It's just a joke. The nine-domain world is just a joke. Once I kill you all and find the shattered source of the nine-domain world, everything will end. Shang Zhengchun tossed the source stone that the nine-domain world had lost in his left hand. In his eyes, the nine-domain world was a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Chapter 954. Genius 1 second remembers love. Go to the small net to provide you with interesting reading. LSS, Qingqiu 2. When Shang Zhengchun took out the origin stone, Night Sorrow confirmed that it was the missing part of the Nine Regions world's origin. Therefore, he directly used the Nine Regions world's origin power and the law of nothingness to suppress it. Then, he controlled the Nine Regions world's origin pearls to cooperate with the law of nothingness to guide it. Fix it! Shang Zhengchun shouted when the origin stone left his hand. He used the law of nothingness to suppress the flying origin stone, and at the same time, he flew forward to grab it. Break! Night Sorrow roared and rushed forward. He controlled the law of nothingness that wrapped around the origin stone and shook it violently in all directions. It broke Shang Zhengchun's law of suppression and also shook the origin stone to fly towards Night Sorrow. At this time, Night Sorrow's glabella shone brightly. It wrapped around the origin stone that was flying towards him and pulled it into his spirit sea. Then, it entered the Nine Regions world's origin pearls and merged with them. With the merging of the Nine Regions world's origin pearls, the shaking in the air disappeared. Because of the merging of the origin pearls, the law of nothingness of the Nine Regions world was raised to another level. The Heaven Mysteries world could no longer suppress or shake it. At this time, Night Sorrow and Shang Zhengchun officially faced each other. Shang Zhengchun's green longsword slashed towards Night Sorrow. Most Y New Chapter Z. Night Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear and directly clashed with Shang Zhengchun's longsword. Then both of them flew back. Night Sorrow controlled the origin stone to enter his body and did not use its full power. Therefore this move was a draw. Kill! Shang Zhengchun roared. He was already furious. Because he was careless, he had suffered a loss. The origin stone was snatched away by Night Sorrow. With Shang Zhengchun's order, the people of the Heaven Mysteries world moved. They started to attack the Nine Regions world's camp. Bo Qing fearlessly charged toward Night Sorrow. He wanted to join forces with Shang Zhengchun to kill Night Sorrow because Night Sorrow was the only peak stage Saint King in the Nine Regions world. Night Sorrow gritted his teeth. His body shook, and his soul doppelganger appeared. Then with a flash, it charged toward another peak stage Saint King. He planned to let his main body withstand the pressure, and then let the Nine Hell King and his doppelganger make the first move. This way, the situation would be easier to control. The battle began. When enemies met, their eyes blazed with hatred. Both sides fought fiercely. The three peak Holy Kings were all taken care of by Night Sorrow. Zhu Jiuyun himself and his doppelganger rushed toward the opponent's middle Holy King. Long Xiansheng and Xian Wenxiu also rushed toward the opponent's middle Holy King. They were 4-star Holy Kings, and their cultivation levels were not as high as the opponent's. However, they could still hold on. They could see the situation. As long as they could hold on, it would be fine. Xue Shi and Wu Lingfei both faced a middle Holy King, but at this time, there was still one more middle Holy King that no one stopped. Realizing the problem, the Nine Hell King's true body flashed and directly blocked the mid-level Holy Kings who were not obstructing them. Like Yi Shang, her true body was fighting 1 against 2, and her doppelganger was also suppressing 1. In a battle between saints, the Nine Regions world was also at a disadvantage. This was because the opponent had 50 saints, and their strength was too strong. If you can't hold on, then enter the array. Night Sorrow opened his mouth and shouted. In this battle, the deciding factor was the Saint King level. Therefore, he did not want any saints to die. Night Sorrow's main body was suppressing Bo Qing fearlessly. This was because Bo Qing was slightly weaker than Shang Zhengchun. Now, he wanted to kill the weaker Saint King and expand his advantage. Shang Zhengchun and Bo Qing fearlessly were very shocked. This was because Night Sorrow was too strong. Neither of them could withstand his attacks. Night Sorrow's power of rules suppressed them very strongly. If it was not 2 against 1, they would be defeated in a moment. Night Sorrow also knew that as long as his main body could control Shang Zhengchun and Bo Qing fearlessly, it would be fine. This was because his doppelganger would soon have a breakthrough and possess 90% of his main body's strength. The opponent would not be able to withstand his doppelganger's powerful attacks. For Night Sorrow, the difference between his main body and his doppelganger was only 10% of his strength and without the light of merit. The difference in combat strength was not big. In addition, his doppelganger could also use the world's origin power to suppress. During the battle, Night Sorrow also observed the surrounding situation. He realized that Zhu Zhuoyun's main body was under the greatest pressure. She had just become a 7-star saint. Fighting 2 6-star holy kings head-on was still very stressful. However, her doppelganger had an absolute advantage. However, as the battle continued, the 9-domain saint level fell into a disadvantage. This was because the opponent had too many saints and their levels were very high. Night Sorrow was a little impatient. This was because he had family members among the saints. At this moment, Night Sorrow's doppelganger began to attack without defending. He wanted to establish an advantage as soon as possible. Night Sorrow's doppelganger attacked wildly. His opponent could not withstand it. The strength of Night Sorrow's doppelganger was far superior to his. In addition, he could use the 9 domains origin power to suppress. His opponent could not withstand it. When Night Sorrow's doppelganger used a soul destruction slash to attack the opponent's divine ocean, it followed up with a void extreme kill, annihilating the opponent's neck region. Just as this peak stage Holy King's soul was about to leave his body and escape, Night Sorrow's doppelganger used a spatial crack to cut through space, directly shattering his soul and head. After killing his opponent, Night Sorrow's doppelganger kept the storage rings and weapons of the dead. Then, he rushed toward Zhu Zhuoyun's main body's opponent. He wanted to resolve Zhu Zhuoyun's crisis first and release her at the same time. That way, Zhu Zhuoyun's main body would have the ability to crush the other mid-level Holy Kings. Night Sorrow's doppelganger could kill a peak stage Holy King. Killing a mid-level Holy King was a matter of moments. After a few consecutive shots, he used a soul destruction slash. Then, he finished off the mid-level peak stage Holy King with another shot. After that, Night Sorrow's doppelganger took over another opponent of Zhu Zhuoyun's main body and began to attack violently. He did not defend at all. A 6-star Holy King could not break through his body's defense. After a few shots, he finished off his opponent again. Ignoring Zhu Zhuoyun's main body and doppelganger, who were suppressing a mid-level Holy King, Night Sorrow's doppelganger rushed toward Wu Lingfei and Xuexi. They were both 1-star Holy Kings. Now that they were being suppressed by their opponents, they could die at any time. Therefore he was anxious. Seeing Night Sorrow's doppelganger rushing over, this mid-level Holy King's soul almost left his body. He had seen how Night Sorrow killed a peak stage Holy King. How could he withstand it? Feeling fear, he turned and ran. Can you run? Night Sorrow's doppelganger used the world's origin laws to suppress him, directly reducing his speed. Then, he used a void extreme kill to destroy his body. After wrapping the dead person's storage ring and weapon into the storage ring, Night Sorrow's doppelganger rushed toward the main body's battlefield. At this moment, Shang Jingchun had become berserk. His battle prowess rose sharply, and he was a threat to Night Sorrow's main body. Moreover, with his continuous violent attacks, he had already turned the situation around. Long Xuanqing's main body was a dragon turtle. His natal holy treasure was a defensive treasure. There was no problem with his safety. Xian Wenxiu also had a defensive high-grade holy treasure. Although his attacks were being suppressed, there was no risk of him being killed for the time being. In addition, Xuexi and Wu Lingfei were both released. This was a nightmare for the saints of the heaven profound world. Chapter 955. It could be said that the situation of the battle had changed from the moment Night Sorrow's soul clone killed that peak stage Saint King. The moment his opponent was killed, the 9 regions world's victory tilted towards them. Night Sorrow's soul clone blocked Bo Qing Wu Wei, while his main body fought against Shang Zhengchun, whose battle prowess had skyrocketed. He wanted to save Yi Tian. That was his ancestor. He could not watch Yi Tian suffer anymore. The moment he saw Yi Tian, Night Sorrow was very touched. Yi Tian was too pitiful. Night Moon's White King battle armor was covered in black spots. What were the black spots? They were dried bloodstains. The chains had pierced through his limbs and locked onto his bones. Just thinking about the pain made one's heart tremble. What touched Night Sorrow the most was Yi Tian's unyielding gaze. However, Shang Zhengchun had a spatial treasure on him. The moment he fought with Night Sorrow, he kept the cage. Thus, Night Sorrow wanted to kill him. Only by killing him could he save Yi Tian. The battle continued. People died continuously. There were also people from the 9 regions world dying. True Sea Saint died in battle. Black Dragon Saint died in battle. Nether Beast Saint died in battle. This was a situation that had not happened for long after the battle had started. Many of the saints that had descended from the Heaven Profound world were high-level saints. They were of a higher level than the 9 domain world's honorables. Being targeted by 2 high-level saints meant certain death. The situation changed after Night Sorrow finished off his opponent. That was because he released a few Saint Kings. Wu Lingfei's main body and soul clone chased after the saints from the Heaven Profound world and massacred them. Xuexi was the same. Her speed was at its peak. If anyone on her side was in danger, she could save them in time. After Zhu Jiuyun finished off her opponent, the situation completely tilted towards the 9 regions world. Her main body and soul clone took care of Long Xiansheng and Xian Wanxiu, allowing the 2 of them to kill the saints from the Heaven Profound world. Kuei Long. Shang Zhengchun, who was being suppressed by Night Sorrow's main body, roared. Following that, a humanoid beast appeared and attacked Night Sorrow's main body together with him. A peak stage Saint King beast. Night Sorrow saw its cultivation level. This ferocious beast that had the same body as Xiao Lu was a peak stage Saint King. After releasing the beast, Shang Zhengchuan's eyes were bloodshot, and he joined the beast in attacking Night Sorrow. "Damn it," he said. "I had a chance to refine your core nascent soul into an out-of-body incarnation. You're going to die today." Night Sorrow's protective barrier changed to the spatial attribute. He dodged the berserk Kuei Long and attacked Shang Zhengchun. After all, Shang Zhengchun was Kuei Long's master. At this time, the battle between Night Sorrow's avatar and Bo Qing Fearless was about to end. With 90% of the original body's strength, Night Sorrow wasn't someone that Bo Qing Fearless could resist. After a while, Bo Qing Fearless was killed by Night Sorrow's avatar. At this time, there were only sporadic battles. This was because most of the saints had been killed by the Saint Kings from the 9 regions world camp. This king will bring reinforcements later. All of you will die. Seeing that they had lost the battle, Shang Zhengchun didn't plan to continue fighting with Night Sorrow. He wasn't a match for Night Sorrow in the first place. Furthermore, after Night Sorrow's avatar killed Bo Qing Fearless, it blocked Kuei Long. Shang Zhengchuan's body flashed as he flew towards the sky. He wanted to break through the spatial barrier and return to the Heaven Profound world. Not only did he want to go back to get reinforcements, he also wanted to escape. How could Night Sorrow let him escape? He chased after him. He wanted to kill Shang Zhengchun, but he also wanted to save Yi Tian. Night Sorrow also knew what Shang Zhengchuan's spatial treasure was. It was a golden drum that he had always used for defense. The golden drum's defense was very strong. Night Sorrow couldn't break through it a few times. After that, Night Sorrow dodged the drum and attacked Shang Zhengchun. It was the 9 regions origin energy that told Night Sorrow not to attack the drum. This was because once the drum was broken, everything inside would be destroyed. Night Sorrow definitely wouldn't be able to survive. Chapter J. The latest chapter with the drum's defense, Shang Zhengchuan's escape was much smoother. Heaven Profound world. Not good. I'll go inform the Emperor. Bo Qing clan's peak Saint King Bo Qing Fearless has died. Many saints' life tablets have shattered. When Bo Qing Fearless was killed, Bo Qing Han's expression changed. He hurriedly left some instructions to Gong Yonglai and left the spatial barrier. A peak Saint King dying in the 9 regions world was a big matter. It could very well threaten Shang Zhengchuan's safety. In the Tiannan Empire's main hall, Bo Qing Han bowed and explained the situation. At this time, the emperor bathed in flames appeared in the main hall. He then followed Bo Qing Han to the edge of the spatial barrier. Gong Yonglai, pass down this king's order. Gather all the peak Saint Kings here. I don't believe that the 9 regions world can withstand our slaughter. Bo Qing Han, when they arrive, you lead the team. I understand. Bo Qing Han bowed. He had just thought of going directly, but Bo Qing Fearless' death made him timid. If they could kill Bo Qing Fearless, then they could be a threat to him. The king's realm can't be entered. It looks like the 9 regions world has recovered. The emperor narrowed his eyes and looked in the direction of the 9 regions world through the spatial barrier. After a while, Gong Yonglai brought a few peak saint kings over. They were the experts of the Tiannan Empire's imperial city. Set off. The emperor, bathed in the light of the fire, ordered. As Bo Qinghan tore through space and started attacking, a problem appeared. Because he was entering spatial turbulence, he couldn't enter the 9 regions world. What's going on? Saint Kings could still enter before. Bo Qinghan's expression changed. If Saint Kings couldn't enter, then they couldn't interfere with the 9 regions world. The 9 regions world has changed greatly. Since we can't enter, we can only wait and see. The emperor glanced at Bo Qinghan. He was very dissatisfied with Bo Qinghan because he hadn't followed Shang Zhengchun to the 9 regions world. Emperor, it's my fault. Gong Yonglai bowed. It's not your fault that you can't enter. My son has the sky drum to protect him. Only the king's realm can threaten his safety, said the man bathed in flames. Emperor, it's my fault. Bo Qinghan hurriedly bowed. The emperor had said that it wasn't his fault that Gong Yonglai couldn't enter, so it was naturally his fault that Bo Qinghan could enter. Don't worry about it, replied the emperor emotionlessly. Knight Sorrow was still chasing Shang Zhengchun. He was very angry. If it hadn't been for the golden drum, it wouldn't have been very difficult for him to kill Shang Zhengchun. Now that he couldn't attack the drum, it wouldn't be easy for him to kill Shang Zhengchun. When he reached the edge of the formation enveloping sky-bearing city, Shang Zhengchun directly used the drum to open a path and charged through. Seeing the spatial barrier getting closer and closer, Knight Sorrow was furious. He used his spatial protective barrier and spatial laws to block Shang Zhengchun's path to the spatial barrier. Then he attacked with his spear. Seeing Knight Sorrow blocking his path, Shang Zhengchun directly used the golden drum to block Knight Sorrow's attack path. Then he flashed to find an opening in the path Knight Sorrow had blocked. He was certain that he wasn't a match for Knight Sorrow. If he didn't run, only death would await him. Knight Sorrow planned to stop Shang Zhengchun first. As long as Shang Zhengchun couldn't escape, he would have a chance to save Yi Tian. He didn't want to see Yi Tian being tortured again. While Knight Sorrow and Shang Zhengchun were fighting, Zhu Juyan, who had dealt with all the people from the Heaven Profound world, rushed over. She knew that she couldn't help, but she was worried. Speak. Chapter 956. With Knight Sorrow blocking his escape route, Shang Zhengchun controlled the drum to suppress Knight Sorrow. Then, he crushed a message crystal to ask for help. That was his father's message crystal. He was worried about his own safety. If Kuei Long was killed and Knight Sorrow's clone dared to come, he would definitely die. Standing in front of the spatial barrier, the Overlord's body shook. Then, he waved his right hand in front of him and cut open the space. Then, he tore with both hands and expanded the spatial crack infinitely. He could feel that Shang Zhengchun was very close to him, just across from the spatial barrier. Come out! The Overlord roared and stretched out his right hand. A huge energy hand entered the 9-domain world. The energy hand created a huge vortex that wrapped around Shang Zhengchun and the golden drum at the same time. Then, Shang Zhengchun and the golden drum were pulled out of the 9-domain world. Knight Sorrow waved the space-time pagoda and smashed it towards Shang Zhengchun. He did not dare to destroy the golden drum, but he definitely could not let Shang Zhengchun escape. At this time, Knight Sorrow attacked with the power of the 9-domain origin law. With the support of the space-time pagoda and the 9-domain origin law, the vortex energy was shattered and Shang Zhengchun was sent out of the spatial crack. The golden drum was taken away, which made Knight Sorrow very angry. Whether Shang Zhengchun killed him or not was secondary. He was angry that he did not save Yi Tian, the ancestor of the Knight clan. Although he was angry, Knight Sorrow kept attacking Shang Zhengchun with his spear, forcing Shang Zhengchun to retreat. Without the protection of the drum, Shang Zhengchun was not on the same level as him. In a short time, Knight Sorrow had severely injured Shang Zhengchun. Then, he smashed the space-time pagoda, causing Shang Zhengchun to spit out blood. With a low roar, Knight Sorrow chased after Shang Zhengchun and broke his 4 limbs. Then, he carried the energy hand Zhu Juyun to Knight Sorrow's side. A King Realm expert. My energy and laws cannot suppress him. What's next? Knight Sorrow's expression was very ugly. After the battle ended, My original body was outside the array formation leading the way. However, my doppelganger rushed over, Zhu Zhiyun said. At this moment, she had sent her doppelganger over. How am I supposed to answer to grandpa and parents if I didn't save the Moon Empress? Night Sorrow was very angry. Let's continue to prepare for the battle. Maybe they will send more people over, Zhu Zhiyun said. At that moment, Night Sorrow's body paused. The 9 regions' origin energy told him that the enemy's saint ruler could not enter. After Night Sorrow snatched back the light-type origin stone, the 9 regions' world's origin energy was complete. Coupled with the law of nothingness as the core, the laws of nothingness had increased once more. Night Sorrow explained the situation to Zhu Zhiyun. That means the 9 zones world is safe. The only regret is that we did not manage to save the Moon Queen. Zhu Zhiyun looked at Night Sorrow and did not know how to persuade him. I will think of a way to save her. Let's go back first, Night Sorrow said. At this moment, the joy of victory in his heart had been diluted. It was mainly because Yi Tian's current situation was too miserable. After Night Sorrow carried Shang Zhengchun and Zhu Zhiyun through the array, he flew back to the plaza of Sky-bearing City. At this moment, the plaza was littered with corpses. Most of them were from the heaven profound world. There were also nether beast saints who did not fear death. Night Sorrow slowly walked in front of Yi Linghuan and Yi Wuyo. I'm sorry. I was unable to save the Moon Empress great ancestor. It's not your fault. It was not easy to win this battle. The enemy was too strong. Yi Linghuan was in a bad mood. When he was young, the Moon Empress had hugged him and accompanied him in cultivation. They had a very deep relationship. However, it doesn't matter. I caught the leader. Raise your head. I don't know your name. If you want to live, I want to save her. Night Sorrow threw Shang Zhengchun to the ground. Then hurry up and trade with my father. In a while, the 2 spatial worlds will shift. It will be very difficult to break through space. It will be very troublesome to communicate through the Wuji world. Shang Zhengchun was also very anxious. The 9 zones world was just a subsidiary world. Its value could not be compared to his own. He was naturally worried about his own safety. Night Sorrow thought for a moment. Then, he brought Yi Linghuan, his parents, and Long Xianxing through the array. They arrived in front of the spatial barrier. He casually sent out a strand of void true qi to seal Shang Zhengchun's cultivation. Then, he threw him to Yi Linghuan. Night Sorrow sent out 2 spears to break through the spatial barrier. It was not difficult for Night Sorrow to break through the spatial barrier of the 9 zones world. However, it was not easy to cut through the spatial barrier of the profound heaven world. Without Yi Shang's control, the spatial barrier was not closed by the people from the heaven profound world. However, Yi Shang also felt that the distance between the 2 worlds had increased. If you want this peak holy king to live, then hand over that person. Night Sorrow shouted. Hand over the person? The emperor bathed in flames did not understand what Night Sorrow meant. Above Gongyang Lai bowed and told the emperor of the profound heaven dynasty that he had given Shang Zhengchun a prisoner. All right. Hand him over to this emperor first. This emperor will naturally return him to you. The emperor bathed in flames shouted at the spatial turbulence. Shang Tianfeng was extremely angry. He had been the emperor of the profound heaven dynasty for tens of thousands of years, and he had never been so passive. No one could bargain with him, but now that his son was in Night Sorrow's hands, he could only negotiate. No, I have to take him first before I can release him. Night Sorrow shouted at the spatial rift. Impossible. This emperor must take him first. Shang Tianfeng's words were filled with killing intent. Dream on. He's wearing a light yellow robe. He must be the core of your profound heaven dynasty. Don't negotiate with me. Give me that golden drum right now, and I'll release him. Night Sorrow naturally knew that Shang Zhengchun's identity was not simple, so he insisted. This was his bargaining chip. If you want to negotiate like this, then there's no way we can negotiate. Shang Tianfeng could not give him the sky drum. That would put him in a passive position. If you don't release him, then you want him to go back? That's impossible. Night Sorrow did not care who was negotiating with him. As the 2 of them were in a stalemate, the spatial rift between the 2 worlds became smaller and smaller until it closed. That's all there is to his value. Grandfather will take him down. Torture him however you can. Knight Sorrow was helpless when he failed to exchange for the person. He could not compromise because if he handed him over first, it might be all for naught. Don't torture me. My soul clone will torture him. Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Shang Zhengchun, whose limbs were all broken, was somewhat anxious. There's no harm in telling you. I have a way to determine that person's aura. If his condition is not good, I will know. It's not that I don't want to give you a chance. I need to feel that person's well. If his life aura continues to wither, then don't live. I don't believe I can't save him, Knight Sorrow said coldly. Shang Zhengchun agreed. He had to agree. This situation made Yi Linghuan feel more at ease. Although he couldn't save the person, he still had a bargaining chip in his hand. Knight Sorrow brought a few people back to Sky-bearing City. Then, he removed the Great Formation and began to wrap up the war. True Ocean Sage and Black Dragon Sage's deaths made Knight Sorrow's heart ache, but this was war. We will set up a steel. Everything will be arranged, Tai Shu Yen said to Knight Sorrow. She knew that the matter of the Moon Empress still had some impact on Knight Sorrow. Speak. Fourth Watch. Chapter 957. Take care of the aftermath. The people who died in battle are all heroes of the 9 regions world. We have to treat them well, said Knight Sorrow. We will. Don't worry. Tai Shu Yen and the others nodded. Knight Sorrow, don't worry. You can sense the Moon Empress's aura. Once her aura weakens, kill her. I don't believe she won't treat the Moon Empress well, said Yi Linghuan as he looked at Shang Zhengchun. Knight Sorrow nodded. In truth, this made him feel more at ease. The other side wouldn't dare to torture Shang Zhengchun anymore. After all, Shang Zhengchun was in his hands. Commander, should we call back Sky-bearing City's people now? Asked Tai Shu Yen. Although they don't dare come, we'll wait for a while longer just to be safe, said Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow guessed that the other side wouldn't send anyone else, but he couldn't take the risk. Then Knight Sorrow and Yi Qianhua began to withdraw the formation. There was no need for it. The Heaven Profound World Saint Kings couldn't enter, so they wouldn't casually send people into the 9 regions world. That was just sending them to their deaths. Just at this moment, the sky shattered once more, and a saint appeared above Sky-bearing City. You really dare come to court death? Knight Sorrow raised his spear, about to kill. Don't! My imperial father tore open space and sent my guard here. She brought a mother-son communication crystal. You can confirm the safety of your Yi clan member at any time. Don't attack me. Seeing that Knight Sorrow was about to kill, Shang Zhengchun hastily called out. You're smart. If you can guarantee the safety of my Yi clan, I won't kill you. Instead, I'll let you live a better life. Hand over the crystal and scram, said Knight Sorrow coldly. I'm staying behind to take care of my prince, said the Peak Saint. Just be an ordinary person. Knight Sorrow's left hand spun, grabbing the saint to his side. He sent out a ray of energy with his left hand, sealing her dantian. Knight Sorrow put away the spiritual avatar that had been preparing for battle after killing Kuei Long and collecting the materials. He merged it with his main body. In the profound heaven world, there were many people standing in front of the spatial barrier. Shang Zhengchun was also there, but he was just a clone that could only transmit messages. Father, things can be stabilized for now, Shang Zhengchun said. It's fine as long as they're stable. We'll think of a way to make a deal. Let's go back. Shang Tianfeng's figure flashed, and he left. He was very angry because the Tiannan Empire had suffered a double loss in this massacre. He didn't mind losing some men, but he was very angry that his son had been captured. Inside the palace, Shang Tianfeng sat on the main seat. Gong Yonglai, you're in charge of looking after that prisoner. Don't let anything happen to him. This concerns the third prince's safety. This subordinate will deal with it properly. Gong Yonglai bowed. Bo Qinghan, I put you and the third prince in charge of handling this matter, but you actually cowered and let the third prince fall. Are you more honorable than my son? Shang Tianfeng looked at Bo Qinghan. I wouldn't dare. I was wrong. Bo Qinghan knelt on the ground. He understood Shang Tianfeng's methods. Commit suicide as an apology, and I won't pursue the matter with your family. Also, prepare for war. I don't believe we can't deal with the 9 regions world. Shang Tianfeng left the palace. He had basically announced Bo Qinghan's fate, and no one in the Tiannan Empire dared to go against him. Go back and tell them that Bo Qinghan will commit suicide in 3 days. Bo Qinghan sighed and left the palace. However, there were imperial guards in the palace, and they wouldn't give him a chance to escape. Within the 9 regions world sky-bearing city, Night Sorrow and Yi Qianhua removed the formation. Night Sorrow, can you let me interrogate that person in a bit? I want to know who the current ruler of the Tiannan Empire is. Yi Qianhua looked at Night Sorrow after removing the formation. The only genuine copy of I was V, while the others were Q. Pirated copy K, sure. He should be a direct descendant of the Tiannan Empire, but we can't kill him for now because the Moon Empress is still in their hands, said Night Sorrow. I won't kill him. He's just a prince, so there's not much meaning to it. Yi Qianhua nodded. Night Sorrow put away the 1,000 derivation illusory formation around sky-bearing city. He Shang and the others also removed the heavenly cycle formation. A few days later, sky-bearing city's people returned under the arrangements of the commander's manor. They had been arranged to be in a nearby city, so they were able to teleport back. Night Sorrow brought Yi Qianhua to the commander's manor. After asking around, he learned that Yi Linghuan had brought Shang Zhengchun to Night Moon City to be imprisoned. Right now, the commander's manor's people should focus on recovering from the battle. Focus on the resources in the Nether Realm, said Night Sorrow. Yes. Tai Shu Yen, Yun Tianlong, Jun Xuanji, and the others all bowed. The other thing is to ensure the safety of the families and descendants of the people who died in battle. If they don't have any morals, directly wipe them out, ordered Night Sorrow. After confirming that he hadn't missed anything, Night Sorrow returned to Sky City. He placed the space-time pagoda next to the lake and brought Yi Qianhua to Night Moon City. In Night Moon City, Night Sorrow saw that the higher-ups of Night Moon City were all present. Seeing Night Sorrow, everyone nodded. Although Night Sorrow's seniority was low, his strength and prestige were there for all to see. Where are the hostages? Asked Night Sorrow. Their cultivation bases have been sealed, and one of them is heavily injured. They're in a pavilion in the back, said Yi Linghuan. This person is related to the Moon Empress's safety. I'll take care of him in the future, said Night Sorrow. At that moment, the emperors of Night Moon City all stood up and cupped their hands to Night Sorrow. They were all very worried about Yi Tian's safety because he was their father. I'll do my best. In addition, the spatial laws of Night Moon City will be strengthened. Whether or not the unrivaled sovereigns can enter the Saint Realm will depend on their own luck, said Night Sorrow. This was the care given to the Night Moon dynasty, who had contributed greatly to the 9-domain world, after the 9-domain world was completed. Yi Shenxian and the others nodded. They didn't have any way to save Yi Tian right now, so they could only hope that Night Sorrow would come. Everyone, don't worry. The Moon Empress is imprisoned, but she won't be tortured anymore. This crystal ball can see the Moon Empress's situation at any time. If there's a problem, come and find me. Night Sorrow comforted the emperors and handed the crystal ball to Yi Shenyue. The Moon Empress won't be suffering now. You don't have to be too anxious. Be careful, said Yi Shenxian as he looked at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. Under the guidance of the emperors, Night Sorrow saw Shang Zhengchun and his guard and maid in a pavilion. Take him and follow me, said Night Sorrow to Shang Zhengchun's maid. The maid also understood the situation. She carried Shang Zhengchun and followed behind Night Sorrow. After arriving at Sky City, Night Sorrow arranged for them to stay in a pavilion. He and Yi Qianhua sat across from Shang Zhengchun and the maid. I have some questions for you right now. I hope you'll tell me the truth. After this, as long as my people are doing well, I won't disturb you. I'll let you live peacefully until the replacement, said Night Sorrow. Okay. Shang Zhengchun didn't want to provoke Night Sorrow right now because the Tiannan dynasty was already arranging for the replacement. He didn't want to provoke Night Sorrow and make him suffer. Speak. Chapter 958. The next question was asked by Yi Tianhua. When he found out that the king of Tiannan Empire was Shang Tianfeng, Yi Qianhua clenched his fists and his body trembled. After calming himself down, Yi Qianhua asked a few more questions before leaving the pavilion. Night Sorrow set up 1,000 derivation illusionary array outside the pavilion and communicated with Yi Qianhua while setting up the array. Shang Tianfeng was the one who forced my parents to their deaths. It's good that he's still alive. I'm afraid that he's dead. Yi Qianhua said. He's at least a king realm cultivator. Otherwise, he would have reached the end of his lifespan. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, yes, Tiannan Empire's Shang clan is a clan with a long history. Their innate bloodline is berserk and can instantly increase their fighting strength by 30%. How strong is the king realm? Back then they were afraid of our Yi clan, which was why they schemed. Yi Qianhua was very disdainful of the Shang clan. After setting up the array, Night Sorrow brought Yi Qianhua to his residence and brewed a pot of tea. Next they will take action. After all, that's a prince. Yi Qianhua looked at Night Sorrow and said. After Night Sorrow and Yi Qianhua communicated for a while, they estimated that the other party would think of a way to come to the 9 regions world from the Wuxia world. After listening to Yi Qianhua's explanation, Night Sorrow also knew some things. The Great Thousand Worlds were all in operation, but there was still a way to connect them. That was the Inter-Realm Teleportation Array. It required a top-grade teleportation crystal. The Wuxia world and the Heaven Mystic world had such teleportation arrays. The Wuxia world was a subsidiary world of the Heaven Mystic world, but its form was very detached. The Wuxia world's Realm Lord's palace had established a power in the Heaven Mystic world. They set up a teleportation array and the life forms of the Wuxia world could enter the Heaven Mystic world freely to explore and train. However, if the people of the Heaven Mystic world wanted to teleport to the Wuxia world, they would have to go through an inspection. If they couldn't pass the inspection, they wouldn't be allowed to enter. If they forcefully entered, they would be killed. Furthermore, experts wouldn't take this risk. No one knew what cultivation level the Limitless World's World Lord was at. If he was at the King Realm, then if they fought in his world, the other King Realm experts would also be killed. Night Sorrow actually, in the Sky Profound world, which is 1,000 times bigger than the 9 domain worlds, the King Realm is extremely rare. The King Realm is a first-rate force. Yi Qianhua said to Night Sorrow. We don't know how many King Realm experts there are in the Tiannan dynasty, but that Shang Tianfeng is definitely one, Night Sorrow said. Back then I was still young, but I knew that my father was at the King Realm, while my grandfather and mother were at the half-step King Realm. At that time, Shang Tianfeng was only a high-level Saint King, so he felt threatened and did something despicable. Yi Qianhua's face was filled with memories. There was both happiness and pain in his memories. We don't know what kind of methods they will use to make a deal with us, but I will be cautious. If there is even the slightest risk, we won't make a deal. In any case, their King Realm and Saint King Realm experts can't enter the 9 domain worlds, Night Sorrow said. They will probably communicate with the Limitless World's World Lord Palace and then make a deal. Yi Qianhua said his idea. Night Sorrow, you can try to see if your nihility law can isolate the Limitless World's source from probing. If it can, then you can enter the Limitless World in advance, or even enter the Heaven Mystic World to set up an ambush. If there is a chance, save them. If there is no chance, talk about the deal, Yi Qianhua said. I need to make 2 preparations, Night Sorrow said. Yes, that Shang Tianfeng's character is cunning and changeable. After suffering a loss this time, he will not let it go. He will definitely take revenge on the 9 domain worlds. As for what methods he will use, it is hard to say. If he can save Yi Tian and hold a hostage, that will be the safest, Yi Qianhua said. Then I will think about it carefully, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Yi Qianhua then said goodbye to Night Sorrow and went to the space-time treasure pagoda to cultivate. Night Sorrow thought. After listening to Yi Qianhua's analysis, he knew that the Heaven Mystic World's Tiannan dynasty would not give up after this massacre. You plan to go to the profound Heaven world? If you want to go, then go. You have an avatar in the Heaven Sealing Great Hall, which means that you are undying and indestructible. The other 9 regions have just begun to develop, and everything is not mature yet. They cannot provide you with any help in your growth. The 9 regions' origin body communicated with Yi Shan. As they continued to communicate, Night Sorrow learned that the 9 domain worlds were currently unable to produce a King Realm cultivator. That was because the spatial world had only been formed for a short period of time. Its laws had just been completed, and the will of heaven and earth was not strong enough. Cultivators were unable to comprehend the will of heaven and earth. This was also the reason why Yi Qianhua had been unable to reach the king realm even after cultivating for several lifetimes. Actually, your growth is the growth of the 9 domain worlds. The 9 domain origin body communicated with Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that he had to leave the 9 domain worlds. He had to deal with Yi Tian's matter, as well as his own growth. This was related to the future of the 9 domain worlds. While Night Sorrow was thinking, a group of people came to his residence. His parents, Wu Lingfei, Xue Shi, and his 3 wives had all come. Night Sorrow, don't feel pressured. The Moon Empress is doing well. They've already healed her and changed her treatment, said Yi Wuyo. I know. No matter how good her life is, she's still a prisoner. No matter what, we still have to rescue her. It's just that we don't need to be in such a rush, said Night Sorrow. You have to attend the funerals of the True Sea Sage and the Black Dragon Sage. You can't delay the others just because Night Moon is busy, said Yu Qing to Night Sorrow. Mother, I understand. Night Sorrow nodded. Also, we have to hold a celebration. The 9 domain worlds withstood the calamity of slaughter. That was a problem that had never been solved before. Now that it has been resolved, the people of the Commander's Manor are all suggesting that we hold a celebration, said Yi Linghuan. We should. Night Sorrow nodded. He felt that the deaths of the True Sea Sage and the Black Dragon Sage were regretful, but he couldn't deny the results of this battle. At this moment, the 9 domain origin Qi sent a message to Night Sorrow. The True Sea Sage and the Black Dragon Sage's souls had not been destroyed. They would reincarnate. However, because their souls had been heavily injured, their consciousnesses had already disappeared. As for whether or not they could awaken, that would depend on fate. Last time, during the Great Massacre Calamity, the origin of the 9 domains had been shattered and could not protect anyone's soul. Therefore, all the Saint Kings and Saints had perished. However, this time was different. Yi Shang had snatched the Light Origin Stone and the 9 domains world's laws were complete. He could take care of the living beings of the 9 domains world to a certain extent. Unless their souls had been destroyed, there was no possibility of reincarnation. This made Night Sorrow very happy. He exerted force with his hand and crushed the table beside him. Original page. What is it? Seeing Night Sorrow lose his composure, Yi Linghuan and the others stood up. They didn't understand what had happened because Night Sorrow had been very calm these past few years. Speak. Chapter 959. Sorry, I got too excited. I just received news from the 9 Realms Essences that True Ocean Saint and Black Dragon Saint haven't completely perished. They still have a chance to reincarnate, but they've lost their wills and consciousness, said Night Sorrow. That's great. Yi Linghuan said happily. The deaths of True Sea Saint and Black Dragon Saint could be said to be the pain and heartache of the 9 domain world. Knowing that the 2 of them were still alive in this world, everyone felt a little more at ease. This also shows that in future battles, soul defense and soul attacks will be very important. If there are no secret techniques, I'll think of something, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a moment. Everyone nodded. While they were chatting, the higher-ups of the commander's residence also came to Night Sorrow's residence. Fortunately, Night Sorrow's residence was big enough to accommodate some people. Why is everyone here? Night Sorrow greeted them with a smile. If we didn't come, you wouldn't have gone to the commander's residence, Tai Shu Yen said with a smile. It's not a big deal now. You can deal with it as you see fit, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Commander, I plan to step down. After entering the Saint Realm, there won't be any bottlenecks for a period of time. I have to seize the time to cultivate, Tai Shu Yen said. That's true. Then let's make some arrangements. Elder Jun will be promoted to Vice Commander. What about you, Zhu Jiuyun? Night Sorrow looked at Zhu Jiuyun. I want to cultivate. I need to reach the peak of the Saint King realm. The Nether Realm's Cloud Slashing King can do some things. You can make the arrangements, Zhu Jiuyun said. Yi Shang thought for a moment, then looked at Yun Tianlong and Jun Xuanji and made the arrangements. That's fine. Vice Commander Yun and Vice Commander Jun. Notify Zhu Yun King to become an elder in the commander's residence. Afterward, Xialon Jun, who was the supreme elder of the commander's residence, asked about the arrangements for the Saint crystals obtained from this war. High-level venerables and venerables with potential will be arranged first. Venerables who have fought bitterly for the 9 regions world will have priority, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a moment. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, everyone nodded. Night Sorrow's arrangements were very reasonable. My only regret is the death of my 2 old friends and the imprisonment of the Moon Empress, Xiaofan said. Night Sorrow shook his head and told him about True Ocean Saint and Black Dragon Saint souls not being destroyed, and that Night Sky was doing well. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, everyone felt more at ease. Lu Qin then said that the resources she obtained this time were only some healing pills and some resources that could instantly replenish energy. There were almost no resources that could assist in cultivation. These resources will be used as strategic reserves. Also, I've obtained some resources as well. As for those weapons, I'll be distributing them to my brothers in the God-slaying squad. I won't be handing them over, Night Sorrow said. No one disagreed. It could be said that Night Sorrow had dominated the war. After telling Night Sorrow that True Ocean Saint and Black Dragon Saint's funerals would be in 3 days, and that the 3-realm celebration would be in 7 days, the commander's residence's people all left. That was because Night Sorrow also needed to rest and reunite with his family. Everyone knew that Night Sorrow had been under a lot of pressure during this time. After the commander's residence's people left, the God-slaying squad's people returned from the central prefecture. Yin Yanxiao also returned to the city in the sky. Brother, you're very powerful. You killed several peak holy kings. Right now, the immortal holy king Night Sorrow's name is like thunder in the 9 regions world, said Yin Yanxiao to Night Sorrow. Haha, how have you been recently? Has your cultivation been smooth? Asked Night Sorrow with a smile. Of course it's been smooth. My cultivation has been smooth, said Yin Yanxiao. She was already a mid-stage venerable and was the most outstanding child of the Sacred Hall's batch. After the family enjoyed dinner, they chatted on the viewing platform of the residence. When Yi Wuyo asked about the exchange of hostages, Night Sorrow thought about it and told him about the situation and his plans. Son, the 9 regions world is our territory. It's already so difficult for us to win a war, yet you still want to go to other people's territory. Yu Qing was a little unwilling, mainly because it was too dangerous. Mother, if I don't go out, I'll be stuck at a bottleneck for the rest of my life. I won't be able to achieve anything higher. I don't want that. Also, the matter of the Moon Empress must be prepared for a rainy day, said Night Sorrow. You're a Saint King and have a lifespan of 10,000 years. There's nothing to worry about, said Yu Qing. Mother, I have a doppelganger similar to my true body in the heaven-sealing Grand Hall. As long as the 9 regions world is not destroyed, my doppelganger will not be destroyed. If something happens to me, that doppelganger will be my true body, said Yi Shang. So that's how it is. All right, Mother won't stop you, but your wife can't come with you, said Yu Qing. Yu Qing's consideration was based on the fact that the whole family needed someone to stay together. I understand. Night Sorrow nodded. Over the next few days, after attending the funerals of Zhenhai Shang and Black Dragon Saint, Night Sorrow accompanied his family and didn't care about anything else. In the past, because he had been worried about the massacre, he had been working hard on his cultivation, so Night Sorrow didn't spend time with his family. In addition, Night Sorrow told his parents that he wanted to resign from his position as commander and that he would leave the 9 regions world. He wouldn't have time to manage things, so he might as well let someone else do it. Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing both supported Night Sorrow's idea. In their hearts, they didn't need their child to have great achievements, as long as he was happy. In addition, Night Sorrow had done everything he could. Night Sorrow's 3 wives also supported him, and Xueshi didn't have any objections. Wu Lingfei, who stayed in the city in the sky, also didn't express any opinions. Night Sorrow relaxed for a few days. Tai Xian came to invite Night Sorrow to the commander's residence. Today was the day of the celebration. Night Sorrow brought his family and the members of the God-slaying squad to the commander's residence. At this time, the commander's residence had been rebuilt, and it was even more majestic and domineering. The square in front of the commander's residence had also been expanded, on the basis of the original Tai Ching City Square. What made Yi Shang flabbergasted was that there was a 9-zhang tall statue erected at the front of the plaza. It was him with the reincarnation spear on his back. His white battle robe fluttered in the wind as if it was about to come to life. How is it? This is the work of the Eastern Profound Region sculptor, Lei Hua, said Xiaolonjun with a smile. This isn't appropriate. Victory in the war is the result of everyone's efforts, not mine alone, said Knight Sorrow. He had never thought that a statue of himself would appear. There's nothing inappropriate about it. You killed 3 Saint Kings and a peak Saint King ferocious beast. You were the one who dominated the battle. Without your help, the 9 regions world would be in a mess today. Long Xianxing said. Above, Commander, go on the stage and say a few words, said Jun Xuanji. Knight Sorrow thought for a moment, then walked to the platform in front of the square and looked at the crowd. After seeing Knight Sorrow appear, the originally joyous crowd quieted down. This time, our 9 regions world won the war. It wasn't easy, and we paid the price of blood and lives. Here, I thank the heroes who fought for our 9 regions world. After Knight Sorrow finished speaking, he bowed twice to the sky. Withstanding the great calamity of slaughter is a new beginning for our 9 regions world. Everything will be better, and I will continue to work hard. However, from today onwards, I will no longer be the commander. I will also start a new chapter in my life, said Knight Sorrow. At this moment, everyone looked at Knight Sorrow in a daze. No one had thought that Knight Sorrow would say that last sentence. No one could accept it because Knight Sorrow was their backbone. Speak. Chapter 960. That won't do. Commander, what are you doing? Long Xianxing and the others were already on the platform. I'm really not suitable to be a commander anymore. There are still many things I need to do. The Tiannan dynasty of the Tianxian world suffered a loss this time and will not let it go. In addition, I also need to break the shackles of the 9 regions world, the shackles that prevent us from entering the Tianxian realm, Yishang said. But Commander, other than you, it'll be very difficult for others to manage the 3 spatial worlds. It'll be very difficult to convince the masses. Long Xianxing looked at the people present, mainly Zhu Jiuyun and Jun Xuanji. You should still be the commander. The vice commander and elders of the commander's residence can help you share the burden, said Jun Xuanji. It's not suitable to not do anything and still occupy the position, said Knight Sorrow as he shook his head. At this time, the crowd also became restless. Everyone knew that the commander was the immortal Holy King, Knight Sorrow. Under his leadership, the 9-domain world had developed at an unprecedented rate. Now that Knight Sorrow wanted to retreat, it had a huge impact on everyone. Everyone, don't worry. The commander's residence will have a perfect solution for this matter, said Long Xianxing. Yes, everyone, don't worry. No matter when, no matter where, as long as the 9-domain world needs me, I, Knight Sorrow, will definitely stand up. Even if I die in battle, I won't take half a step back, promised Knight Sorrow. Everyone who responded to Knight Sorrow bowed in greeting. At this time, Knight Sorrow once again felt the power of virtue enter his body. Outside his spirit's sea, the golden halo behind his head became even more conspicuous. After Knight Sorrow returned the bow, he followed the people from the commander's residence back into the commander's residence. Commander, none of us can accept your sudden decision, said Jun Xuanji. But I'm really not suitable. I plan to go to the limitless realm and then enter the profound heaven world. They're trying to kill us. This is an insult to us. I can't tolerate this, Yishang said. But this has nothing to do with you being the commander. We only need the vice commander and elders. If there's anything, we can discuss it. Don't talk about stepping down. That will really disappoint the cultivators and commoners of the 3 realms, said Yun Tianlong. We all know that it's been hard on you, but the commander's residence and the 3 realms need a pillar of support. If someone else were to be the commander, it would be hard to convince the masses. It would be detrimental to the stability of the 3 realms, said Xian Wenxiu. He trusted Yi Shang, so he was worried that a change in commander would affect the profound mysteries realm. Hearing everyone's words, Yi Shang could only nod. He couldn't refuse. Then, a grand banquet was held, and the real celebration began. After drinking with everyone, Yi Shang brought his wife back to the city in the sky. No need to worry. I'm just going to take a look. I'll come back once I understand the situation, said Knight Sorrow. He wouldn't bring the girls even if Yu Qing agreed. After hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Yang Lei thought about it and didn't say anything. She knew that this matter couldn't be discussed. It wasn't just Yu Qing's idea. Night Sorrow didn't agree either. Night Sorrow didn't go to the Wuji world directly. He hadn't cultivated the myriad Dao treasured tome to the peak yet. Inside the space-time treasure pagoda, Night Sorrow meditated inside the dragon cauldron to recover. At the same time, he checked the situation outside. At this moment, in the Wuji world's Wuji city, a phantom appeared in the sky-bearing palace. "Greetings, Realm Lord," said the two elders in the sky-bearing palace as they bowed. "The two of you, go to the spatial barrier area that connects to the 9-domain world and check it out. There's an energy fluctuation there," said the phantom before disappearing. Night Sorrow meditated peacefully inside the dragon cauldron. He knew that this was the first risk. The other risk was when he went through the transfer array from the Wuji world to the Heaven Profound world. If nothing happened, then he could enter the Heaven Profound world safely. And the beginning of the second book. Chapter 961. Night Sorrow's soul power was tyrannical. He had been scanning the outside of the dragon cauldron. He had patience now, and he was willing to exchange patience for safety. 6 hours later, a group of people appeared. They were patrolling near the spatial barrier. Night Sorrow realized that the leader was a 7-star Saint King. Night Sorrow knew that this was not the Realm Lord of the Wuji world. The Realm Lord of the Wuji world would not be in the middle of a stage. He would definitely be at the peak of a stage. This group of people left after checking one round. Night Sorrow hid very well, so it was impossible for him to be discovered. Unless the Realm Lord came and used the world's origin power to suppress and search bit by bit, it would be impossible to discover Night Sorrow. This group of people left. Night Sorrow emerged from the ground. He kept the space-splitting spear back into his body and flew forward. Night Sorrow wanted to find a city to understand the situation first. Otherwise, it would be easy to recognize that he was not a native of the Wuji world. As for being recognized, Night Sorrow was not worried. He had reached the realm of returning to one's original state. Those below the high-level Saint King would not be able to detect his cultivation. After half a day, Night Sorrow entered a city. There were guards guarding the city. However, seeing that Night Sorrow was dressed in a tolerant white robe and did not have any cultivation, they did not even ask. After entering the city, Night Sorrow found a tea house. After asking for a pot of tea, he listened to the conversations of others. He realized that this Wuji world was very similar to the 9 regions world. They were all mainly humans. After listening for a while, Night Sorrow left the tea house and went to the main street of this small city. He then bought a small map. This was a small city. Naturally, it was impossible for there to be anything too high level. Night Sorrow looked at the map and rushed towards the nearest big city. This time, Night Sorrow didn't go through the city gate. It was illogical for a person without any cultivation to run around outside the city. The quality of the city guards in a big city was also different from that of a small one. The people of the small city were simple and honest. It was normal for the guards of the big city to look for trouble. Night Sorrow did not want to cause any trouble. He found a hole in the city wall's defense and used the space law to cut into the big city. This was a cultivator's city. It was comparable to the royal cities of the various dynasties in the 9 regions world's Grand Clarity domain. Night Sorrow leisurely strolled on the streets. At this moment, he revealed his cultivation level to be at the 5th step, which was suitable for the cultivators here. In a shop, Night Sorrow bought an entire map of the everlasting world. Then he found a large tea house and asked for a pot of tea. He slowly drank while listening to the conversations of others. Tea houses and restaurants were the easiest places to gather information. There were all sorts of people here. Night Sorrow's soul power enveloped this place. Everyone's conversation was heard by him. While listening to Night Sorrow, he looked at the map and compared it with the conversations of the customers. The main city of the everlasting world was the everlasting city. The city that intersected with the Heaven Profound world was the true extreme city. These were the 2 largest cities in the everlasting world. This flying cloud city was the closest city to the 9 regions world. At this moment, in the Heaven Profound world, in the everlasting world's 2 extreme city, there was a person sitting in the city lord's mansion. This person's body was filled with fire energy. He was the Emperor Lord of the Sky South Empire. I am Shang Tianfeng of the Sky South Empire. I would like to discuss some matters with the World Lord of your everlasting world. Please inform him, said Shang Tianfeng to an elder sitting in the main seat. This elder was a 5-star holy king, the city lord of Two Extreme City. A 5-star holy king's cultivation wasn't much in the heaven profound world, but no one dared to casually provoke Two Extreme City. Even the major powers of the heaven profound world wouldn't. The city lord of Two Extreme City could be easily killed, but the revenge of the everlasting world's world lord was something no one was willing to accept. The everlasting world's world lord was undying within the everlasting world. His true body was in the everlasting world. If his clone came out to take revenge, no power would be able to accept it. So it's Emperor Shang. What is it? Tell me roughly so I can give the world lord an explanation. Otherwise, the world lord would have come here for nothing. The elder sitting in the main seat was neither haughty nor humble. He was nothing in front of Shang Tianfeng. Shang Tianfeng could crush him at any time, but he had a backer behind him. It's like this. My Sky South Empire's people are in the 9 regions world, and they also have hostages in the hands of my Sky South Empire. Thus, both sides wish to exchange hostages. Shang Tianfeng directly stated his intentions. The exchange of hostages will be carried out in our everlasting world? Asked the elder. He was a family member of the everlasting world's world lord, Yenwu Absolute. He had a very high position in the everlasting world. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to become the city lord of Two Extreme City. The crux of the problem is that our experts cannot enter the everlasting world. Once we enter the everlasting world, there will be conflict. Furthermore, if the other side isn't confident, they won't trade with us. Thus, I want to discuss with your everlasting world. If you can assist my Sky South Empire in exchanging hostages, then my Sky South Empire is willing to give you resources to express our gratitude. If you can open up a path for us to enter the 9 regions world, then your everlasting world can obtain 5 cities of my Sky South Empire, said Shang Tianfeng. Then Emperor Shang, please wait a moment. I need to return and meet with the world lord. Men, bring Emperor Shang to the VIP building to rest. Yenwu Absolute waved his hand and called for someone to bring Shang Tianfeng to rest. Shang Tianfeng hadn't left the Sky South Empire for many years. If there was anything, he would directly give orders. However, this time, it was related to his son's life. He had no choice but to personally come. After Yenwu Absolute spoke to his assistant, he took a transportation formation back to the everlasting world. Following another transportation formation, he arrived at the everlasting city. In a small courtyard not far from the sky-bearing palace in Everlasting City, a middle-aged man and a woman were playing chess. Absolute Marshal, come take a look. Is there any chance of winning this game? The middle-aged man waved his hand at Yenwu Absolute. And #new quickest start the middle-aged man was wearing a long robe. Although he had 2 small tufts of mustache, he appeared very amiable. His aura was very calm. He also looked very handsome. His black hair was simply tied behind his head. If people saw this person on the streets, they would only give him a few more glances. They would definitely not think of anything else. However, the truth was that he was the ruler of the everlasting world, the everlasting world's world lord, Yan Tianpa. World lord, please don't make fun of me. This time, I have come for an important matter. Yenwu Absolute bowed and said, even if it's an important matter, we must finish this game of chess. Even if we lose, we must lose openly. We cannot give up halfway. Yan Tianpa waved his hand at Yenwu Absolute to have him sit down and continued playing chess. Tianpa, you handle the matter first. The woman sitting in front of Yan Tianpa said. The woman had a graceful figure but she was wearing a veil. That's fine too. What matter is worthy of you personally coming back? Yan Tianpa asked Yenwu Absolute as he brewed tea. The Sky Profound World and the 9-Domain World want to make a hostage trade. They want us to cooperate. Yenwu Absolute explained the matter in detail. Just at this moment, the woman sitting in front of Yan Tianpa trembled and stood up. Calm down first. Yan Tianpa nodded slightly at the woman and smiled. Interesting. Seems like the Sky South Empire is going to harvest the 9-Domain World once every 10,000 years. However, the result is that they suffered a great loss. Speak. Chapter 962. That should be the case. He's also an important person from the South Sky Empire. Otherwise, Shang Tianfeng wouldn't have personally come and paid such a huge price, said Yan Wujue. Interesting. Looks like the 9-domain world is no longer the same 9-domain world as before. It's not easy to capture an important person from the South Sky Empire, muttered Tan Tianpa. Then how should I reply? Asked Yan Wujue. Go back and tell Shang Tianfeng that we can protect the hostages. However, it's impossible to open up a path. If the 9-domain world can attack, why would we need them? As for the price, you can discuss it. It's fine to be ruthless. The South Sky Empire is extremely rich, said Yan Tianpa without any hesitation. Okay. Let them bring the hostages in, nodded Yan Wujue. Tell them that if a Saint King dares to enter the Wuji world, kill him, said Yan Tianpa. His words caused the space to tremble. But how do we contact the 9-domain world? Asked Yan Wujue. Easy. They've already arrived at the Wuji world. Moreover, he's a pretty good expert. Go to the Wuji City Lord's mansion, and tell the various City Lord's manors to announce that I want to meet him. I don't have any ill intentions. I just want to exchange the hostages, said Yan Tianpa. Most v. New chapters versus Yan Wujue nodded and left the courtyard. The 9-domain world has risen. I can feel that the laws of the 9-domain world have been perfected. It's repelling and suppressing all the surrounding worlds. Moreover, there's a world lord, said Yan Tianpa to the woman opposite him. The 9-domain world has risen. The 9-domain world can actually withstand the great massacre calamity. Those who died can rest in peace. The veil on the woman's face was soaked with tears. I hope you don't hate me, said Yan Tianpa softly. I understand, nodded the woman. Knight Sorrow couldn't go to the Wuji city because that was the core of the Wuji world. The Wuji world's world lord was there. If he got too close, he would be easily discovered. After keeping the map, Knight Sorrow teleported to the Two Extreme City. He planned to find a chance to trick the guards of the teleportation array into the profound sky world. While strolling around the city, Knight Sorrow saw the announcement from the City Lord's mansion. The Realm Lord wanted to meet the people of the 9 regions world to discuss the exchange of hostages. He had no ill intentions. Upon seeing this notice, Knight Sorrow was a little stunned. However, he soon understood that someone had investigated him when he tore open space and entered the Wuji world. This meant that the Wuji world's Realm Master already knew that someone had come from the 9 regions world. After thinking about it for a while, Knight Sorrow felt that he could go. The words of a world sector lord carried enormous weight. However, Knight Sorrow wasn't completely unprepared. Once again, he returned to the spatial barrier. His main body entered the space-time pagoda and hid within the spatial barrier. Next, his soul avatar arrived at Everlasting City and headed straight for the City Lord's mansion. When the City Lord's mansion's men saw Knight Sorrow, they immediately went into a state of alert. Knight Sorrow of the 9 regions world has seen the notice and has come to pay a visit to the limitless world lord. Knight Sorrow cupped his hands towards the black-robed old man who walked out of the City Lord's mansion. Please enter the City Lord's mansion and wait for a moment. The old man looked at Knight Sorrow and said, Be more courteous. Bring him to me. A voice rang out in the air. Yes, Realm Lord. The black-robed old man bowed towards the air and gestured for Knight Sorrow to enter. He was very shocked because Knight Sorrow was a peak stage Saint King. Under the lead of the black-robed old man, Knight Sorrow entered the courtyard where Yan Tianpa and the white-robed woman were playing chess. I am Yan Tianpa. Yan Tianpa introduced himself to Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow of the 9 regions world greets the Flame World Lord. Knight Sorrow cupped his hands towards Yan Tianpa. Your soul clone is at the peak of the Saint King realm. Your bone age is a little special. Your true bone age is less than 100 years. Even if you include some illusions, your bone age is less than 1,000 years. You are a rare genius. Yan Tianpa looked at Knight Sorrow and explained Knight Sorrow's situation. The fact that I didn't come is a little disrespectful to the Flame World Lord. However, I have no choice. I have some concerns. Knight Sorrow nodded. This Yan Tianpa spoke casually and wasn't overbearing. I didn't guess wrongly. You are the Realm Lord of the 9 regions world. Young man, you are very capable. Have a seat. If I said I have no ill intentions, then I have no ill intentions. Yan Tianpa gestured for Yi Shiwen to enter. Knight Sorrow nodded and sat down. Since the other party had no ill intentions, they had to talk. The 9 regions world won the great massacre calamity that occurs once every 10,000 years, right? Yen Tianpa poured a cup of water for Night Sorrow and asked. They won. They killed all of them and captured the prince of the Sky South Empire. However, they want to exchange the captured clansmen of our Night clan. They are clansmen who entered the Sky Profound world in the past. Night Sorrow said. Could it be that 100 years ago, your 9 regions world used the Wuxia world to enter the Sky Profound world? Yen Tianpa thought for a while and said. It should be. I'm not very clear about the details. I have never seen this ancestor before. Night Sorrow said. You haven't seen him before. It seems that I didn't see wrongly. Your true age is very young. Let's put it this way. I also don't like the Sky South Empire. They used resources to ask me for help and wanted to exchange hostages in the Wuxia world. They want me to guarantee the safety of the exchange. Are you willing to exchange? After all, the Prince of the Sky South Empire is more valuable. Yen Tianpa looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I am willing. In my eyes, the Prince of the Sky South Empire is not as important as a strand of hair from my Night clan. However, if it's the main resources of the Flame world, I might not have them. Night Sorrow expressed his attitude. Haha, I like this attitude of yours. I don't want your resources, I just want theirs. In that case you can go and prepare. It doesn't matter if this sovereign comes. This sovereign won't have any thoughts about you. If I did, I would have attacked your 9 regions world long ago. Yen Tianpa laughed. Many thanks, Flame World Master. Here are 2 jugs of wine to express my gratitude. Night Sorrow took out 2 jugs of wine and placed them on the table. He then turned and left. Seeing Night Sorrow leave, the veiled woman stood up. Is this the youth of the 9 regions world? His soul clone is at the peak of the Saint King realm. His body is filled with blood chi and his laws rippled. When I tried to investigate, I was directly dissolved. He's very strong. Yen Tianpa said. Tianpa, don't stop me from going back. I must go back. The woman looked at Yen Tianpa and said. I won't stop you anymore. I didn't let you go back a few years ago because I was worried about your safety. However, you should wait until the exchange of hostages is completed. I can also go with you to the 9 regions world to take a look. Yen Tianpa said. That won't do. You are the realm master of the Wuxia world and your clone is currently busy. It will be dangerous for your main body to go. The white-clothed woman said. You don't see people as good as me. Night Sorrow looked straight at me and didn't have any evil aura. He's not that kind of person. Yen Tianpa said. Speak. Chapter 963. If he comes again, I'll talk to him. Hiding here while the 9 regions world is in danger, I don't have the face to face him, said the white-robed woman. I don't have the face to do what I should do for you. It's enough, said Yen Tianpa. After Night Sorrow's soul avatar met up with his main body, he returned to the 9 regions world and went to Sky City. Why are you back so quickly? Aoi looked at Night Sorrow in astonishment. Things have come to an end. I'm here to bring someone back. Yishan explained the situation in the Wuxia world. It shouldn't be a problem. If a world master goes back on his word, it would be immoral. He wouldn't do such a thing, said Wu Lingfei. Then let's just wait for the news, said Night Sorrow. At this time, Night Sorrow arrived at the place where Shang Zhengchun was imprisoned. There's progress in the exchange of hostages. Now enter my spatial treasure. We'll go to Sky City, said Night Sorrow to Shang Zhengchun. I'm not going to enter your spatial treasure, said Shang Zhengchun. You're not afraid that I'll deal with you. The main thing is that it's inconvenient to go to Sky City's spatial turbulence. If you don't want to enter, then let your father send someone to bring the hostages to the 9 regions world, said Night Sorrow. He didn't believe that Shang Zhengchun could persist. Wait! Shang Zhengchun hesitated for a moment before calling out to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow took out the space-time pagoda and put Shang Zhengchun and his maid into the bottom level of the space-time pagoda. After that, Night Sorrow greeted a group of people and left Sky City. After arriving at Nanli region's spatial barrier, he passed through it and entered Sky City. After arriving at the nearest city, Night Sorrow teleported to Sky City. In the courtyard, Yen Tianpa and the white-robed woman were talking about something. Haha, with the protection of the world energy, this is the true body. Let's sit down and talk. There are still many things to talk about. Of course it's not me, it's her. Yen Tianpa pointed at the veiled white-clothed woman to Night Sorrow. Su Dao greets Sector Lord. The white-clothed woman bowed slightly towards Night Sorrow. You know me, Su Dao? Night Sorrow was astonished. Then have you heard of the Void Dao Saint King? The white-clothed woman took off her veil, revealing her delicate face. A Saint King of the Void Path is a sage from 10,000 years ago. Wait, are you his descendant? Night Sorrow asked the woman. She was also a mid-level Saint King. No, I am Lin Ruoxu. 10,000 years ago in the Heaven-Sealing Great Hall, I obtained the title of Void Dao. The woman looked at Night Sorrow and said, You are a senior Saint King of the Void Path? Night Sorrow looked at the woman in shock. As the woman spoke, Night Sorrow was stunned. His heart was moved. He bowed deeply towards the woman. Saint King of the Void Path has suffered. Junior Night Sorrow is here to bring you home, to our home. At this moment, Night Sorrow understood everything. That year when the Saint King of the Void Path self-detonated, his soul fell into the turbulence of the shattered space. He was saved by Yen Tianpa, who was watching the battle. Because he was heavily injured, he was in a deep sleep for many years. He woke up 300 years ago and with Yen Tianpa's help, he used heavenly treasures to reconstruct his body. All right, after you are done with your matters, I will go back with you. Lin Ruoxu said. Many thanks to Flame World Lord for taking care of the Sage of the 9 Regions world. In the future, if Flame World Lord needs anything, just send a message to Night Sorrow. I will definitely not reject you. Night Sorrow said. Haha. World Lord Knight is very capable. I admire you. How about this? I will not stop World Lord Knight from moving around the Wuji world. If I go to the 9 Regions world, don't have any ideas. Yen Tianpa said. Naturally, there is no problem. The 9 Regions world will always welcome Flame World Lord as a guest. Night Sorrow said. Following which, Night Sorrow stayed in the 9 Regions world under Yen Tianpa's arrangements. Lin Ruoxu kept asking Night Sorrow about the 9 Regions world. Night Sorrow explained everything to him. If World Lord was born 10,000 years earlier, then Clear Sky Saint King and Central Continent Saint King wouldn't have to die in battle. This is the regret of our generation. This time, I didn't return in time. I hope World Lord won't blame me. Lin Ruoxu sighed and said, World Lord Knight, you can't blame me. Ruoxu didn't return because she hasn't recovered to the peak of the Saint King realm. There isn't much meaning for her to return. I was the one who stopped her. Yen Tianpa said. How can I have any thoughts? Void Dao Saint King is the sage of our 9 Regions world. Everyone remembers him. Also, Central Continent Saint King is regretful. Clear Sky Saint King has already reincarnated. He is doing very well now. He also participated in this war. Night Sorrow said. He could see that Lin Ruoxu missed Clear Sky Saint King and Central Continent Saint King. Brother Qianhua is still here. Lin Ruoxu stood up and said emotionally. Yes, he has already reincarnated. Night Sorrow nodded. World Lord Knight, do your things. Ruoxu won't return. Yen Tianpa said. That's my brother. What are you thinking? Lin Ruoxu glanced at Yen Tianpa and frowned. Ahaha, I didn't say anything just now. Yen Tianpa laughed. At this time, Night Sorrow also understood what was going on. He also laughed. He felt that this matter was pretty good. Night Sorrow rested in the courtyard that Yen Tianpa prepared for him. He couldn't cultivate now because he had reached a bottleneck. If he couldn't touch the will of heaven and earth, he wouldn't be able to enter the king realm. As for Yen Tianpa, Night Sorrow knew that he was a big shot in the king realm because he couldn't see his cultivation. Every day, Yen Tianpa and Lin Ruoxu would look for Night Sorrow to drink tea and chat. The others were all pirated copies. World Lord Knight, with your situation, you have to go to the Sky Profound world or other worlds to have a chance of breaking through. Back then, I also secretly went to the Sky Profound world to break through my bottleneck. However, you have to be careful. The worlds don't have human feelings. Everything is about benefits. Yen Tianpa said. Knight Sorrow nodded. He knew that this was priceless advice. Half a month later, the black-robed Yenwu Absolute came. World Lord, the matter is settled. We asked them for 300 Saint Spirit Stones. They felt the pain but agreed. Their people and hostages are in the two extreme city. Yenwu Absolute said to Yen Tianpa. Let them bring their people to the plaza of the Sky-Bearing Palace and wait. Tell them that this time, we are exchanging hostages. If they dare to make a move, I will definitely kill them. Moreover, I will kill my way to their nest. Yen Tianpa said. Domineering and overbearing. Knight Sorrow knew that Yen Tianpa had the qualifications. He and Shang Tianfeng were both big shots in the King realm. Yen Tianpa had an advantage. He had a world of his own. He could send his clones out to fight. His original body was immortal. If he fought unscrupulously, the Sky South Empire wouldn't be able to withstand it. World Lord Knight, don't make a move. If you do, it will be hard for me. If you want to fight, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. Yen Tianpa said to Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow understands. I will not make things difficult for World Lord Flame. Knight Sorrow nodded. Speak. Chapter 964. Not long after, Yen Tianpa nodded towards Yi Shang. Their people have arrived. Realm Lord Yi, you can bring your people over. I won't show my face. Ruoxu, you follow them. If they don't keep their word, you can kill them. Wu Ju and the others know you and will cooperate with you. Okay, then we'll go. Lin Ruoxu nodded to Yen Tianpa. Knight Sorrow also brought Shang Zhengchun and the female saint out of the pagoda. Shang Zhengchun's limbs had already recovered. As a peak saint king, a little external injury was nothing. Knight Sorrow and Lin Ruoxu brought their people to the Sky-Bearing Palace. Knight Sorrow saw many people in front of the palace. There were people from the Tiannan dynasty holding Yi Tian down. Since you're exchanging hostages in the Wuji world, you have to follow our rules. You have to hand the hostages over to us. Before that, you have to remove the tricks you used on the hostages. Although you're a peak Saint King, you have to be honest. Remember, Saint Kings don't have the right to be arrogant in the Wuji world. Yen Wujue looked around and his gaze landed on Shang Zhengchun. Yi Shang retracted Shang Zhengchun's void true qi from the Saintess Dantian and glared at Yi Shang. Shang Zhengchun walked over to the guards of the Everlasting World City Lord's mansion. He didn't dare to act rashly. This was the Everlasting City. Peak Saint Kings didn't have the right to be arrogant. This was the Everlasting World's world. The Tiannan dynasty also handed Yi Tian over to the City Lord's mansion's guards. Do you think there's a problem? If there's no problem, you can return to your own camp, said Yen Wujue. Shang Zhengchun and Yi Tian knew whether there was a problem or not. They both returned to their own camps. Knight Sorrow, the enmity between us isn't over. I'll definitely destroy the 9 regions world. Shang Zhengchun looked at Knight Sorrow coldly. This was a great humiliation to him. He knew that Shang Tianfeng had saved him because of their father-son relationship. But if he didn't do it well, it would be impossible for him to have any power in the Tiannan dynasty in the future. You want to fight? Then you can tell everyone in the everlasting world that our battle to the death has nothing to do with anyone. Do you dare? Knight Sorrow looked coldly at Shang Zhengchun. Let's go. Shang Zhengchun coldly snorted and left with his people. How would he dare to fight? He knew that if he was not a king-tier cultivator, he would not be a match for Knight Sorrow. He had witnessed Knight Sorrow's battle prowess with his own eyes. The 2 peak stage Saint Kings that he had brought along and Kuei Long had all been killed by Knight Sorrow. Remember, if I can take care of you once, I can take care of you twice. You better not fall into my hands, because next time, you won't have a chance to live, Knight Sorrow said. Shang Zhengchun left without looking back. No matter how he fought back, it was useless. Knight Sorrow had asked him if he dared to fight, and he had nothing else to say. Many thanks. Knight Sorrow cupped his hands towards Yen Wujue and the others. RZ version, World Lord Knight is too polite. Yen Wujue cupped his hands towards Knight Sorrow. After that, Knight Sorrow and Lin Ruoxu brought Yi Tian back to the courtyard that Yen Tianpa had arranged for them. Moon Empress, you've suffered. Night Sorrow bowed to Yi Tian. It's nothing. Without your help, I would still be in their cage. Yi Tian shook his head. Moon Empress. My grandfather is Yi Linghuan. I'm your junior, said Night Sorrow. Linghuan's grandson? You're Linghuan's grandson. Yi Tian was a bit emotional. Back in the cage, he had been muddle-headed and hadn't heard the conversation between Yi Linghuan and Night Sorrow. Yes. Rest for a while, and then we'll return to the 9 regions world. Night Sorrow looked at Yi Tian. Yi Tian's cultivation base was still at the peak of the Saint Realm. Because he had been imprisoned after leaving the 9 regions world, his cultivation base hadn't advanced. There's no need. I'm in good condition. Yi Tian said. All right. Senior, are you coming back with me? Night Sorrow nodded towards Yi Tian and then looked at Lin Ruoxu. Yes, I'll go with you. Lin Ruoxu nodded. I'll go too. Yen Tianpa also spoke. Then the group left the Everlasting City. After a few teleportation arrays, they arrived at the spatial barrier of the 9 regions world. Let's set up a teleportation array in the future. That way, we can teleport directly. Flying from Flying Cloud City is really troublesome, said Yen Tianpa. Night Sorrow didn't say anything. This was a matter of the Everlasting City. He couldn't interfere. Soon after, Night Sorrow's energy enveloped Yi Tian. Yen Tianpa brought Lin Ruoxu along as he tore through space and traversed through the chaotic flow of space. Soon, the group arrived at the spatial barrier of the 9 regions world. Night Sorrow tore through space and entered the 9 regions world. However, there was a problem. Yen Tianpa couldn't enter. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't enter the 9 regions world. The area he tried to break through was the spatial turbulence. The 9 regions world kept rejecting him. Night Sorrow controlled the 9 regions world source energy to stabilize the space. At the same time, he communicated with the 9 regions origin pearl. Only then did Yen Tianpa enter the 9 regions world. The laws of the 9 regions world are too strong. If it weren't for your control, I wouldn't have been able to enter. Yen Tianpa turned around and looked at the spatial barrier. Yes. Now that Saint Kings can't enter the 9 regions world, it can be said that the 9 regions world is very safe. Night Sorrow said. It seems that the 9 regions world is of a higher level than the Everlasting City. The Everlasting City can only resist King Realm cultivators. It can't stop Saint Kings from entering. Yen Tianpa looked up at the sky of the 9 regions world and said. Then, Night Sorrow led the group to the city in the sky. This is my home. Elder Ling Lan, go to Night Moon City and inform them that Lord Moon Empress has returned. Also, ask the Divine Moon Emperor to bring Senior Qian Hua here. Tell them that we are meeting with old friends. Night Sorrow instructed Yi Ling Lan. Following this, Yi Shang led everyone to his own residence. Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing both came to greet him. Yi Tian had never seen Yi Wuyo before, but he was very happy to see a junior at this time. Moon Empress Great Ancestor. These are my 3 wives. Night Sorrow introduced his wives to Yi Tian. Yi Tian was very excited because Night Moon had a successor. While everyone was chatting, Night Moon's Emperor and Yi Qian Hua came. Night Moon's Emperors and Yi Linghuan all knelt down to greet Yi Tian. Yi Qian Hua's eyes were fixed on Lin Ruoxu. After Night Moon finished greeting, he opened his mouth. Are you little sister Ruoxu? I am brother Qian Hua. I am Ruoxu. Lin Ruoxu's face was crying. The battle that year was too tragic. The 3 Saint Kings who were as close as brothers never met again. Then, Night Sorrow stood up and told everyone about Lin Ruoxu's identity. At this time, everyone present bowed. Because the Void Dao Saint King was a hero of the 9 regions world. He was a senior and had to be respected. Also, let me introduce this person. He is a friend of the Void Dao Saint King, the Flame World Lord of the Everlasting City. Next, we can be friends with the Everlasting City. This way, it won't be a problem if we want to go to the mysterious Sky World. Night Sorrow said. Say. Chapter 965. Everyone cupped their hands. The World Master of a world had a noble status. After chatting for a while, Night Moon's people brought Yi Tian away. Yi Wuyo and his wife also went over. However, Night Sorrow didn't go. He was still accompanying Yen Tianpe and Lin Ruoxu. In addition, Night Sorrow didn't have any feelings for Yi Tian. He had only seen him once in the previous battle. This was only the second time. Your place isn't bad. Give us a place to stay. Ruoxu, bring me around, said Yen Tianpe. Sure. But can you see if you can set up a world transfer array? That way, it'll be more convenient for our 9 regions world to communicate with the Wuji world, said Lin Ruoxu. Since you've asked, of course. I just happen to have 2 world transfer crystals. We can set them up. Our 2 worlds are close to each other. We can set them up in large cities. That's convenient. But for safety, we have to guard them well. That way, we can avoid some trouble, said Yen Tianpe. Okay. Then I'll have to trouble World Master, said Night Sorrow with a smile. It's nothing. Sometimes, I'm very unyielding. But sometimes, I have to compromise, said Yen Tianpe. You're speaking nonsense again. World Master Night, World Master Flame, and I will just walk around. We haven't seen the 9 regions world for 10,000 years. Lin Ruoxu stood up. Then, Lin Ruoxu and Yen Tianpe left. Night Sorrow, what's going on? Asked Yonglei. That's the situation. You should know, said Night Sorrow with a smile. Then, everyone laughed. Now that Yi Tian was rescued, Night Sorrow didn't have any pressure. He could truly settle down. Night Sorrow brought his 3 wives, Xuexi and Father Gu, to the lake to drink tea and chat. Tianyu, Yi Mei and the God-slaying team had all gone out to train. They were all improving their combat strength. Night Sorrow, I told you when you were young that you had to be responsible. However, you almost got into trouble. Is it appropriate for you to let Miss Xuexi follow you like this? Old Man Gu looked at Night Sorrow and said, Dad, this isn't Night Sorrow's problem. I just think this is good. Xuexi pulled her father's arm and said, Sigh, then you guys handle it yourselves. Old Man Gu sighed. There were some things that he couldn't understand. Pops, you have to work hard and strive for Type 5. Night Sorrow looked at Papa Gu and took out some Origin Spiritual Liquid and Life Spiritual Liquid for him. Father Gu nodded. He knew that Night Sorrow didn't need him to have much combat strength. He just needed him to have a high cultivation and a long lifespan. In the following days, Night Sorrow was very relaxed. He spent every day with his 3 wives and Xuexi. Night Sorrow did not know why Xuexi insisted. As long as Xuexi asked, he would give her a name. On this day, when Night Sorrow was drinking tea, Yen Tianpe and Lin Ruoxu returned to Sky City. Realm Lord Night's life is not bad. However, you still have to pursue something. Go to Sky Profound World or other large worlds and find a place where there is no one and slowly cultivate. After entering the King Realm, you can come back and cultivate slowly. At that time, you can send a soul clone out and do big things. Yen Tianpe looked at Night Sorrow and said, I will spend this time with my family. Night Sorrow said, You did well in this aspect. Much better than me. When I was cultivating, my family left me one by one. It was very sad. Yen Tianpe said, Don't think so much. Aren't you doing well now? Lin Ruoxu poured a cup of tea for Yen Tianpe and said, The only original is V, the other is Q. Y is a pirated copy. What's so good about it? Realm Lord Night has 3 wives. I am still single. Yen Tianpe said and looked at Lin Ruoxu. Senior, don't call me Realm Lord Night. My name is Night Sorrow. You can call me by my name. The same goes for Void Dao Saint King. You are a senior of the 9-domain world. You can call me by my name in the future. Night Sorrow said. Void Dao Saint King, don't call me that. That was in the past. However, what is more suitable for you to call me? Lin Ruoxu said. How about this, Night Sorrow? Don't call me Flame Realm Lord. I am older than you. If you don't mind, you can call me Uncle. As for her, there will be a suitable name in the future. Yen Tianpe said with a smile. All right. Since the 2 of you are my seniors, I will call you Uncle and Aunt. Night Sorrow said. That's right. That's much more comfortable. Kid, work harder. When you enter the King Realm, we will go to the Sky Profound World and wreak havoc. The Sky Profound World is too shameless. Yen Tianpa was very happy and spoke his thoughts. They always think that they are better than others. They even use the saint crystals of our world's cultivators as materials. This is simply intolerable. Thinking of the sky profound world's actions, Night Sorrow was also very angry. In the past, the everlasting world was the same. That's why Uncle also hates them. However, we were alone and could not defeat them. Yen Tianpa said. Night Sorrow nodded. He could also understand. When the everlasting world did not have a world master, it was also a subsidiary world that was bullied. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow and Yen Tianpa went to set up the realm transmission array. The two of them discussed for a while and felt that it was better to keep the realm transmission array a secret. There was no need to open it to the public. A limited number of people could teleport it. In the end, they decided to set it up in the side halls of the Sky City and the Sky-bearing Palace. Night Sorrow set up the transmission array in the loft next to his residence. After that, Yen Tianpa placed the transmission crystal and another transmission crystal split body. Looking at the transmission crystal, Night Sorrow knew that it was an extremely expensive top-grade transmission crystal. The realm transmission crystal could be used to teleport across realms. Of course, it could only be used between realms that were relatively close to each other. After that, Night Sorrow and Yen Tianpa went to the everlasting world. They set up a transmission array in the side hall of the Sky-bearing Palace and set up the transmission crystal. As the transmission crystal lit up, the 9-domain world and the everlasting world could be officially teleported. Let's go. I'll introduce you to some people. Yen Tianpa brought Night Sorrow into the Sky-bearing Palace. Greetings, Realm Master. Everyone in the Sky-bearing Palace bowed. All of you listen up. From today onwards, only I, Realm Master Knight and Lin Sheng King can enter the side hall where the transmission array was set up. Anyone else who approaches will be killed. Without even taking the main seat, Yen Tianpa gave the order. After Yen Tianpa finished speaking, everyone in the palace bowed and accepted the order. Remember this realm Lord Yi. Right now, he is also this lord's nephew. You should know what this lord means. Yen Tianpa patted Yi Shang's shoulder. After hearing Yen Tianpa's words, everyone in the hall bowed towards Yi Shang and greeted him as young master. Night Sorrow also cupped his fists towards everyone and returned the greeting. All right, let's go and have a drink. After that, we'll go to the Sky Profound World's 2 extreme city to take a look. Yen Tianpa was in high spirits. He was indeed happy about the recent events. Speak. Third watch. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.